Chapter 676. On the 10,000 Clan Battlefield. A month's time passed quickly. At this moment, the shadows of the emperors of each clan appeared, standing in the sky above their respective regions. My emperor! All the experts of the demon race bowed respectfully. The demon emperor's shadow was expressionless as he said indifferently, "The 10,000 Clan Battlefield has officially opened. Fight for the demon clan!" "Yes, my emperor!" All the demon clan powerhouses bowed and accepted the order. At the same time, the words of the emperors of the other clans were similar. In the human territory, Emperor Zhao didn't show up. Qin Shujian was the only one who occupied the entire human territory. "Greetings, Emperor Qin!" Duan Sun and the others, as well as Qin Yuanbai and the others, all bowed respectfully. The human emperor. The emperor of the human clan. Anyone had to be respectful in front of the human emperor. Even if Emperor Zhao was the leader of the Great Zhao Empire. But the people of the Great Zhao Empire also had to bow in front of Qin Shujian. "The 10,000 Clan Battlefield has opened. Please fight for the human clan and fight for the world. We obey the emperor's order." Everyone bowed. By the time they straightened up, Qin Shujian's shadow had disappeared. At this moment, all the human clan powerhouses looked extremely solemn. The 10,000 Clan Battlefield had officially opened. That meant that the human clan was about to enter a bloodbath. "Everyone, prepare for war!" Duan Sun and Qin Yuanbai looked at each other across the air and finally turned around and shouted. As soon as they finished speaking, everyone went to their respective cities. 1 month. The human clan had established a total of 18 cities in the human territory. Among them, there were 9 cities in the Great Zhao Empire and 9 cities in the Qianyuan Sacred Ground. In the 9 cities of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground, 4 cities were in front as the vanguard. 3 cities were in the middle as reinforcements. 2 cities were in the back to deal with emergencies. Among the 9 cities, the Sacred City was the main city. Qin Yuanbai looked at Yin Banqing and the others and said in a deep voice, "Go to the 4 cities of Yu, Fang, Hong, and Huang immediately. You must ensure that the human clan's front line is safe." "Okay." Yin Banqing and the others looked at each other and nodded solemnly. At this moment, no one was under Qin Yuanbai's command. Among the many elders of the Holy Land, his cultivation was the highest. As for those with higher cultivation, they were not considered true elders of the Holy Land, so their status was lower by a level. Subsequently, Qin Yuanbai looked at King Golden Rock and King Azure Billow and said, "Both of you have broken through to the Saint Realm. Your strength can be regarded as the strongest in the Qianyuan Sacred Ground. I hope you two can help defend the city. Don't worry. Unless I die in battle, I won't let the human race lose even an inch of land," the Golden Rock King said seriously. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Qin Yuanbai nodded and turned around to leave. He was going to the Sacred City. This was because Xiao Qinfeng, the commander of the human tribe, lived in the Holy City. Now, the 10,000 tribe battlefield had officially opened. There were some things that one had to look down on. Holy City. In the City Lord's mansion, Qin Yuanbai successfully met Xiao Qinfeng. "Why is Elder Qin here?" Looking at the person before him, Xiao Qinfeng smiled faintly. The clouds were calm and the wind was light. It was as if he didn't care about anything. Qin Yuanbai didn't care too much and said directly, "Patriarch Xiao should know that the 10,000 Clan Battlefield has opened. What should the Qianyuan Sacred Ground do next?" Xiao Qinfeng was no longer Marquis Beiyun. Therefore, he could only call him Patriarch. Or else, it was really not easy to call him Patriarch Xiao Qinfeng. Xiao Qinfeng said, "What the Qianyuan Sacred Ground wants to do is up to you. You don't have to ask me. Although I promised Emperor Qin to guard the human tribe's territory. However, it doesn't mean that I will intervene in the affairs of the 10,000 Clan Battlefield. What the human tribe wants to do is up to you. Moreover, don't think that I will immediately rescue you if the foreign race attacks. Unless you really have no way to resist, I will not intervene. Otherwise, No matter how many of you die, I will still not intervene. Xiao Qingfeng's words made Qin Yuanbai's face extremely ugly. According to the other party's words, the role of the person in front of him was equivalent to the human tribe's bottom line. Before crossing this bottom line, no matter how miserable the situation was, the other party would not intervene. In this way, the Qianyuan sacred ground had one less big killer. Patriarch Xiao, Emperor Qin means, Emperor Qin just asked me to guard the human tribe's territory. He did not force me to intervene. If Elder Qin has any questions, you can go to Emperor Qin. Xiao Qingfeng directly interrupted Qin Yuanbai. Then he looked at the other party and said calmly, "But Elder Qin, don't forget that Emperor Qin opened the 10,000 clan battlefield to fight for the general trend of the world and to train the soldiers of the human tribe. If I intervene in everything, what is the point of the human tribe entering the 10,000 clan battlefield? Since the birth of the human tribe, countless people have died in battle, but the number of strong masters born is also immeasurable. Everyone's death is to pave the way for the birth of strong masters. Only when enough strong masters are born can the inheritance of the human tribe be guaranteed. If we can't even survive the 10,000 clan battlefield, how can the human tribe survive for hundreds of millions of years? How can we resist the great tribulation of the demonic abyss?" While speaking, Xiao Qingfeng had a sarcastic smile on his face. "I know you think that Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin are enough for the human tribe, but a true immortal only has a lifespan of 120,000 years. Without Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin, will the human tribe be destroyed? I can tell you clearly that the human tribe has never been passed down by one or two strong masters, but by the strength of all of the human tribe." After speaking, Xiao Qingfeng seemed to be a little tired. He waved his hand and directly drove him away. "That's all I have to say. Elder Qin, you should go. Don't come over if there's nothing else." Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai bowed slightly and said solemnly, "I'll take my leave." After speaking, he straightened up. Qin Yuanbai turned around and left. Xiao Qingfeng's words also made him sober up. Yes, the human tribe had never been passed down by anyone. At present, the human tribe had Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin. That was the human tribe's honor, but it was not a reason for the human tribe to rely on the two emperors and live a stable life. The human tribe must take this opportunity to produce more strong masters. That was the only way. Only then could the human tribe be truly powerful. So, Qin Yuanbai left. He left very decisively. Now that things had been clarified, Xiao Qingfeng's side could be ignored. Next, to face the 10,000 clans, they could only rely on the Qianyuan sacred ground. They could not rely on any external forces. He left the sacred city. Qin Yuanbai went directly to Yu City. At this time, most of the human tribe cultivators were gathered in the 4 frontline cities. In the city lord's mansion. "How is it? Is there any news from Xiao Qingfeng?" Yin Banqing asked directly when Qin Yuanbai returned. Regarding this, Qin Yuanbai shook his head and said, "Xiao Qingfeng can't do anything. Unless the city is breached, he should not intervene. Now the 10,000 clan battlefield has officially opened. Have you sent out any scouts to inquire about the news?" "The scouts have been sent out, but there will definitely be no news back in a short time," Yin Banqing said. Qin Yuanbai sat down in his seat and picked up the teacup on the side. "The biggest problem of the sacred ground now is that there are no strong masters who can take charge. Although we are diviners, we are only at the transcendent realm. As for the other clans, even the weakest one must have a powerful master. In this way, if the sacred ground wants to attack, it will be a big problem." Qin Yuanbai took a sip of tea and sighed. The biggest problem of the Qianyuan sacred ground. It was that there were no powerful masters in charge. Relying on the strength of the sacred ground and the assistance of the array, he had some confidence in the defense of the land. But it would be extremely difficult to attack the other clans. Fighting for the general trend of heaven and earth. There was no reason for the human clan to only defend and not attack. If they wanted to train their troops, There was no possibility of letting the other party attack them. Banqing frowned, and his expression was not very good. Attacking the other clans and fighting for the general trend of heaven and earth. According to Emperor Qin, the Great Zhao should be the main force. After all, the Crown Prince of the Great Zhao, Xiang, is a powerful master in the 9th level of the Diviner Realm. With his peak strength, he has no problem fighting against the Great Saint of the Demon Clan. If there's a ranking in the 10,000 clan battlefield, Xiang can probably be ranked in the top 10 or top 20. Xiang was very strong. But the problem was that the other party was the Crown Prince of the Great Zhao. Although the Qianyuan Sacred Ground and the Great Zhao were both human clans, they did not look at it that way. Qin Yuanbai said, although there is nothing wrong with the two emperors ruling the world, if the general trend of heaven and earth is completed by the Great Zhao, it will only show that the Qianyuan Sacred Ground is useless. At that time, Emperor Qin will have no face in front of Emperor Zhao. If Emperor Qin really wants to punish us, you and I can't afford it. The stronger they were, the more they cared about face. If all the credit went to the Great Zhao, the Qianyuan Sacred Ground would be in a very awkward situation. But there is nothing we can do about it. Banqing shook his head and sighed. Without a powerful figure, what can we do? The strongest in the Sacred Ground should be the Golden Rock King and the Blue Wave King. But they have just broken through to the Saint Realm, and their strength is not considered strong among the 10,000 clans. They are still far from being able to attack the city and seize the land. What was the difference between two 4th-tier celestial beings leading a team to attack the city? Qin Yuanbai said. Brother Yin, don't forget that our Sacred Ground still has a few guests. The Vermilion Bird clans Wuxing, the 1,000-pupil clans Jizhou, and the mountain-breaking clans Wushan are all in the 8th tier of the celestial being realm. They are guests of the Sacred Ground, so there is no difference between clans. I plan to ask Emperor Qin to let them come over, so that the Qianyuan Sacred Ground can have more resources. That's good. I will be away for a while. Brother Yin, please guard Yu City. Don't worry, Yu City will not be lost. Banqing smiled confidently. Seeing this, Qin Yuanbai did not waste any time. He directly went to the sacred city through the portal in Yu City, and then returned to Liangshan's city through the transmission array in the sacred city. Elder Qin! The disciple who was guarding the teleportation formation saw Qin Yuanbai immediately, and bowed to greet him. Qin Yuanbai waved his hand and immediately went to the Qianyuan realm. Why is Elder Qin in such a hurry? I don't know. Maybe there is a problem at the 10,000 clan battlefield. The two disciples talked secretly, but they did not think too much about it. In the Qianyuan realm, as soon as Qin Yuanbai arrived at the foot of the main sect mountain, he heard Qin Shijian's voice. Come up! The voice had just disappeared. A big man with 2 horns on his head came down from the mountain, looked at Qin Yuanbai and said, I am here to bring Elder Qin up the mountain. Well, thank you, Elder Nyo. Qin Yuanbai was stunned for a moment, but he quickly came back to his senses. As for Nyo Dali, he also knew him. The master of the demon vein was also an elder of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground. More importantly, Nyo Dali was now the mount of the human emperor. He was a 7th-grade official in front of the prime minister. As the mount of the human emperor, Nyo Dali was not a real elder of the Sacred Ground, but he was better than a real elder of the Sacred Ground. What's more, when Qin Yuanbai faced Nyo Dali, he felt a strong oppression. It could be seen that the bull demon in front of him was much stronger than him. So, Qin Yuanbai did not dare to be rude. It didn't take long for Nyo Dali to take him to the gate of the courtyard and said, The Qin Emperor is inside. You can go in by yourself. After that, he transformed back into his real body and then lay down on the side to sleep. Thank you. Qin Yuanbai cupped his hands and then walked into the courtyard. He just happened to see Qin Shijian sitting there and sipping tea. 3 steps became 2 steps. Qin Yuanbai bowed and saluted. Qin Yuanbai greets the Qin Emperor. Elder Qin, you are not in the 10,000 clan battlefield. Why did you suddenly come here? Qin Shijian asked curiously. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai replied truthfully. Reporting to the Qin Emperor, now the Qianyuan sacred ground is in the 10,000 clan battlefield and lacks powerful masters. Although Shao Chengfeng is in the sacred city, it can be said that it is enough to defend but not enough to attack. Therefore, I plan to borrow a few people from the Qin Emperor to expand the territory of the Qianyuan sacred ground. It is not necessary to let Dazhao do everything. After that, Qin Shujian did not immediately reply. His fingers tapped on the stone table gently. Who do you want? Vermilion Bird Clan Huixing, Thousand Pupil Clan Jizhou, and Mountain Breaking Clan Wushan, Qin Yuanbai said truthfully. Huixing Benwan can be given to you, but not Jizhou and Wushan for the time being. However, in addition to Huixing, Niu Dali outside the courtyard can also go back to the 10,000 clan battlefield with you. Qin Shujian picked up the teacup and took a sip. Niu Dali. The corner of Qin Yuanbai's mouth twitched slightly. He thought of Niu Dali's big and burly appearance. Coupled with the way Qin Shujian addressed him, it sounded strange. However, Qin Yuanbai did not reveal too much and then asked, What is Elder Niu's strength now? He is in the 6th tier of the celestial being realm. It won't be long before he breaks through to the 7th tier of the celestial being realm. His strength is not weak, so there should be no problem for him to stand alone. I see. Qin Yuanbai secretly took a breath. 6th tier of the celestial being realm. He was about to break through to the 7th tier of the celestial being realm. Such strength was enough to rank in the top 5 of the Qianyuan sacred ground. Compared to Niu Dali, Qin Yuanbai found that he was really too weak. Subsequently, Qin Shujian took out a jade talisman and placed it directly in front of Qin Yuanbai. This is Ben Huang's token. You go to the territory of the Vermilion Bird Clan and crush it. Huixing will naturally go to the 10,000 clan battlefield with you. Thank you, Qin Emperor. Qin Yuanbai respectfully put away the jade talisman and then said, The 10,000 clan battlefield has just opened. There must be other things happening, so I won't stay for long. Go! Remember, you must guard every inch of the territory of the human race. Even if you can't compete for the general trend of the world, you can't give up the general trend that you already have. Qin Shujian looked solemn. Qin Yuanbai nodded heavily, and then immediately left. Outside the courtyard, Blue Ox was sleeping soundly. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in his ears, waking him up directly. Accompany Qin Yuanbai to the 10,000 clan battlefield. During this period, you must listen to Qin Yuanbai's orders. There must be no mistakes. Yes. Niu Dali did not dare to refute, and immediately turned into his human form. At this time, Qin Yuanbai happened to walk out of the courtyard. Elder Niu! Qin Emperor has already told me. Elder Qin, please! Niu Dali looked unhappy and said in a muffled voice. Seeing this, although Qin Yuanbai felt strange, he did not think much about it. Please! Then, the two left the East Continent together. After leaving the East Continent, Qin Yuanbai took Niu Dali directly to the territory of the Vermilion Bird Clan. Because of their separation from the demon race, the territory of the Vermilion Bird Clan was also in the territory of the human race. Aren't we going to the 10,000 clan battlefield? It doesn't seem to be in this direction. On the way, Niu Dali also had some doubts. He had been to the 10,000 clan battlefield once, and remembered that it was in the south. Now that Qin Yuanbai was going in the wrong direction. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai said with a smile, We need to go to the territory of the Vermilion Bird Clan first to find Fire Sage, and then go to the 10,000 clan battlefield together. All right. Niu Dali had nothing to say. He was now displeased with Qin Yuanbai. If the other party had not suddenly arrived, he would not have lost the opportunity to sleep and follow him to the 10,000 clan battlefield. Who knew how long this trip would take? What if he was in the 10,000 clan battlefield for decades? Thinking of his next few decades, he might fight in the 10,000 clan battlefield and never have the chance to sleep again. Nyodali felt that his life was a piece of darkness. Regarding Nyodali's thoughts, Qin Yuanbai was not sure. What he needed to do now was to go to the Vermilion Bird clan and find Fire Sage, this big helper. In Qin Yuanbai's opinion, although Nyodali was strong, he was not as strong as Fire Sage. So, Fire Sage, who was in the 8th level of the Celestial Being Realm, was the main force. It did not take long. They had already arrived at the territory of the Vermilion Bird clan. At this moment, the powerhouses of the Vermilion Bird clan also noticed the arrival of Qin Yuanbai and Nyodali. Suddenly, a celestial appeared and asked politely, "May I ask where you two are from and what is the matter?" "I am an elder of the Qianyuan sacred ground. I am here to see Fire Sage on the order of the Qin Emperor." "So it is an elder of the Qianyuan sacred ground. Please come in." The Vermilion Bird clan celestial was shocked, and his attitude was much more respectful. The Vermilion Bird clan was now a vassal of the human race. The Qianyuan sacred ground was the old master of the Vermilion Bird clan. The higher-ups had come. The Vermilion Bird clan celestial did not dare to neglect. After entering the main hall of the Vermilion Bird clan, as soon as Qin Yuanbai and Nyodali sat down, Fire Sage had already floated over. "Elder Qin, Leader Nyo!" Seeing the two of them, Fire Sage also politely cupped his hands. Especially for Nyodali. There was an inexplicable fear in her eyes. After Fire Sage sat down, he looked at the two of them and asked, "I wonder if the two of you have come here because of the Qin Emperor's orders?" "The Qin Emperor hopes that Fire Sage will go to the 10,000 clan battlefield with me." While speaking, Qin Yuanbai took out a jade talisman. "This is the Qin Emperor's jade talisman. Fire Sage, just crush it." Seeing this, Fire Sage took the jade talisman and crushed it directly. Suddenly, a subtle fluctuation spread out from it. Soon, the fluctuation dissipated, and Fire Sage woke up again. She looked at Qin Yuanbai and said with a faint smile, "I have received the Qin Emperor's order. Elder Qin will take charge of the next matter. In that case, you and I don't have to waste time. Let's go back to the cold mountain city of the eastern continent first, and then go to the 10,000 clan battlefield through the teleportation array." "Okay. Please." Qin Yuanbai got up. Immediately, he left the Vermilion Bird clan's territory with Fire Sage and Nyodali. However, before leaving, Fire Sage also left with a group of Vermilion Bird clan cultivators. The 10,000 clan battlefield. It was the place where the 10,000 clans trained their troops. Fire Sage did not want the Vermilion Bird clan to let go of this opportunity. After all, there were too few Vermilion Bird clan experts now. It would be great if they could take this opportunity to produce a group of experts. On the other side, the 10,000 clan battlefield. With the official opening of the 10,000 clan battlefield, the various clans had already taken the lead in initiating a dispute. The demon clan cultivators were like a long dragon, rushing straight to one of the small clans. Before the demon clan army completely stepped into the territory of the small clans, the scouts sent out by the small clans had already noticed the presence of the demon clan army. In the city, a god martial arts realm cultivator knelt down on one knee and reported anxiously. "Report, traces of the demon clan army have been found 2,000 miles away from our territory. We suspect that they are coming for our clan." "What?" Huan Quan's expression instantly turned ugly. The demon clan army was coming for them. This was something he had never expected. Because the illusion clan was just a small clan. It was not eye-catching at all among the 10,000 clans. More importantly, the illusion clan had never had any conflicts with the demon clan. At this time, the demon clan should be attacking the human clan. Why would they attack the illusion clan? Huan Quan could not figure it out. But he also knew that now was not the time for him to think too much. "Quick, immediately send someone to contact the nearby clans. Tell them that the demon clan is attacking our illusion clan. Tell them to quickly send reinforcements. Otherwise, if our illusion clan is defeated, they will be next." Huan Quan immediately ordered. The surrounding illusion clan experts all nodded and accepted the order. The news of the demon clan army. The faces of the experts from the illusory tribe turned extremely ugly. They even felt fear in their hearts. There was no other way. The demon clan's reputation was too great. Compared to a top clan like the demon clan, the illusion clan was like a small ant that could be destroyed with a wave of the hand. But this was only in the 10,000 clan battlefield. The demon emperor could not take action. In addition, the demon clan had suffered heavy losses. That was why the illusion clan did not collapse as soon as they heard about the demon clan's attack. After the others left, an illusion clan expert said in a deep voice, "The scouts found the traces of the demon clan army 2,000 miles away. They might not be coming for our illusion clan." "Humph, if they are not coming for our illusion clan, do you think the demon clan is just passing by?" Huan Quan shouted angrily. "Within a radius of a few thousand miles, only our illusion clan exists. If they want to attack other clans, there is no need to come within 2,000 miles of our territory. The demon clan is clearly attacking our illusion clan. At this time, you still dare to be careless? Do you want to die? Immediately pass down my order. Tell all the illusion clan cultivators to be on alert. The entire city is on level 1 alert. Do your best to defend against the demon clan's attack." "Yes." The illusion clan expert who spoke was flustered. Then, he bowed and took the order. Inside the city lord mansion, only Huan Quan was left. There were no outsiders present. Now, his face was dignified, mixed with a trace of fear. Damn it, why did the demon clan choose our illusion clan to attack? Aren't the demon clan and the human clan sworn enemies? Why didn't they attack the human clan at this time? Why did they attack our illusion clan? Huan Quan's mind was spinning wildly. He was thinking. He was thinking about the demon clan's purpose. Soon, Huan Quan stopped thinking, and his face turned ugly. The demon clan is not confident in dealing with the human clan, so they want to take this opportunity to swallow our small clans. Then, they will accumulate enough strength to deal with the human clan. In other words, our illusion clan has become the meat that fattens the demon clan. Thinking of this, Huan Quan was even more furious. The demon clan did this because they thought the illusion clan was the easiest to deal with. But what made him sad was, the strength of the illusion clan was indeed like this in front of the demon clan. Staying in the city lord mansion was depressing. Huan Quan directly left here and went to the city wall. At this time, the news that the demon clan was about to attack had spread out. The situation in the city suddenly became tense. Many illusion clan people showed fear on their faces. The entire city. Panic filled the air. Seeing this, Huan Quan's heart sank. If this continued, the illusory race would collapse on its own. Immediately, he looked at the people in the city and shouted, "It's just an attack from the demon clan. There is nothing to be afraid of. The demon clan is no longer the demon clan of the past. After many battles, the demon clan's strength has been greatly reduced. In the 10,000 clan battlefield, demon emperors can't take action. The demon clan can only send a limited number of experts. Although our illusion clan is not as strong as the demon clan, we are not much weaker. Now, other clans are coming to support us. As long as we hold on, the threat of the demon clan will be easily solved. With me here, the city will not fall. The illusion clan will win." His voice was very loud, covering the entire city. Although not many people believed Huan Quan's words, it dispelled the fear in many people's hearts. Especially when he said that there would be support. It made them feel relieved. After barely raising the morale of the army, Huan Quan did not relax. He continued, "From today onwards, the illusion clan will also earn merit points. Whoever kills a member of the true martial demon clan will be rewarded with 1 merit point. Whoever kills a member of the spiritual martial demon clan will be rewarded with 10 merit points. Whoever kills a member of the divine martial demon clan will be rewarded with 100 merit points. Whoever kills a member of the Heavenly Human Clan or Demon Clan will be rewarded with at least 500 merit points. The merit points can be exchanged for cultivation techniques, martial arts, and even elixirs and weapons. As soon as he said this, the morale was instantly raised. Seeing this, Huan Quan was also sweating profusely. He had heard about the merit points from the human clan. Originally, Huan Quan did not intend to set up a plan to earn merit points. After all, the illusion clan was only a small clan. They could not take out so many resources. But looking at the current situation, without enough motivation, the clansmen would not have the heart to fight. So, he could only put in a lot of effort. I hope that my emperor will not blame me, Huan Quan said to himself. If the illusion emperor heard this news, he would not blame him. I'm afraid that's impossible. Merit points. The illusion clan is willing to use merit points. It seems that this trip was not in vain. The players below all had a look of joy on their faces. Almost every force in the myriad races had players. Their purpose. They wanted to take advantage of the war between the clans to earn enough experience points and other benefits. Although the illusion clan was small, that was relative to the other clans. For those players, no matter how small the clan was, it was still a force that they could not reach. So, some players had their eyes on the illusion clan. However, the illusory race had not given out any quests, and the players who had stayed behind were starting to think of retreating. At this moment, Huan Quan's announcement of the merit points system was naturally to encourage them. A male player was eager to give it a try. He smiled and said, I wonder how many soldiers there are in the demon clan this time. Will it be enough for us to kill? A spirit martial realm is worth 10 merit points. Who knows what 10 merit points can be exchanged for? Don't be happy too early. A player poured cold water on them. Hearing this, the male player did not care. I already know about the merit points system of the human clan. The rewards are not bad at all. Since the illusion clan also uses the merit points system, it should be about the same. If it can be the same as the human clan, no, it doesn't need to be the same as the human clan. We won't lose out with 70 to 80%. The other players chuckled as well. In their opinion, it should be very difficult for the illusion clan to compare with the human clan. Small clans were also destined to have scarce resources. But these players were also mentally prepared. They did not expect the illusion clan to have the same rewards as the human clan. As long as the difference was not too great, they could accept it. Just as the morale was being mobilized, the demon clan army also officially entered the illusion clan's territory. Suddenly, the illusory race's scout reported the news. In fact, there was no need to report back. The demon clan army's momentum was astonishing. The illusion clan experts in various cities all noticed it immediately. Activate the formation! Huan Quan directly ordered. Suddenly, the formation in the illusion clan's territory was activated. On the other side, as soon as Saint Azure stepped into the illusion clan's territory, he felt that the surrounding environment had changed. He was already in a plain, surrounded by an army in all directions. Then, they charged toward him and the others. The army charged. The massacre covered the sky and the sun. Illusion formation! Saint Azure frowned. He felt that there was a mysterious force around him that wanted to affect his mind. It was just that the force was not strong. There was no way to make a 9th-level celestial being demon saint completely fall into the illusion. It's just an illusion formation. It's not a good method. After figuring out the situation, Saint Azure shook his head. Then, he blasted a palm forward. The palm energy tore the sky and split the earth, directly wiping out all the charging army. The next moment, a terrifying force rose from his body. Then, he struck out 2 more palms, shaking the formation violently. Then, boom, the illusion formation shattered. There was a faint light flashing on the ground, and then it dissipated inch by inch like starlight. An illusion formation also wants to trap. The illusion formation shattered. Saint Azure smiled proudly. Just as he was about to mock, his face suddenly changed, and then it became gloomy. Because in front of him, 100,000 demon clan army turned into minced meat. And where the minced meat was, a huge palm print appeared. Saint Azure knew that it was the mark left behind by his own attack. Then, when he turned his head to look at the other demon clans, he found that many of them were also injured. Obviously, they were seriously injured in the illusion just now. Clap! Clap! The sound of applause sounded. Huan Quan stood on top of the city wall, looking at Saint Azure and clicking his tongue in wonder. Saint Azure's strength is indeed formidable. 100,000 demon clans are gone with a slap. You're ruthless when killing outsiders, but you also don't show mercy when killing your own people. Huan Quan, you're courting death. Humph, your demon clan dares to invade my illusory race. You're also courting death. It's still not too late to retreat now. Facing Saint Azure's threat, Huan Quan was not the slightest bit afraid. Not that he was really not afraid, but there was no need to be afraid. The demon clan army already came, making it clear that they wanted to attack his illusory race. Since they were already enemies, then there was nothing to say. Rather than saying nice words, might as well do it as he liked. Attack the city! Saint Azure waved his hand. The demon clan army immediately attacked the 3 cities. Subsequently, he took a step and rose into the air, charging over toward Huan Quan on top of the city wall. Today, I'll kill you, then take down all of the illusory race's territories, and let your illusory race be the first to withdraw from the myriad race battlefield. Wishful thinking. Huan Quan was also not afraid. He similarly rose into the air, charging over towards Saint Azure. Illusory race. As the name implied, the most powerful was illusionary art. As a powerhouse in the illusory race, Huan Quan's illusionary art even reached a transcendent level. The moment he made his move, Saint Azure was already standing in the void in a daze. You're dead meat! Seeing this, killing intent emerged in Huan Quan's eyes. He instantly went straight for Saint Azure's head. Fighting with the illusory race was like this. A moment of carelessness. There was the danger of dying. It was just that Huan Quan's attack had yet to completely touch Saint Azure when Saint Azure, who fell into the illusion, already woke up. Bang! 2 fists collided. Huan Quan's arm cracked, directly bombarded until he fell back in the void. Illusionary art, just a small trick! Saint Azure grinned hideously, instantly charging toward Huan Quan. At the same time, the demon clan army was already fighting with the illusory race army. The illusory race powerhouses. They set up illusion arrays one after another, attempting to make the demon clan cultivators fall into a state of mutual destruction. However, among the demon clan's almighties who attacked this time, it was not just Saint Azure alone. Ordinary illusionary art. In front of an almighty powerhouse, it was completely useless. Therefore, the illusionary art had just been set up not long ago, and it was mostly broken. A demon saint took action and directly tore an illusory race celestial apart. Blood rained down from the void, making the illusory race cultivators shocked and furious. Kill! After that demon saint tore apart an illusory race celestial, he immediately charged toward another illusory race celestial. Looking at the illusory race's side again. Other than Huan Quan, there were only 2 other almighties left. However, these 2 almighties had just broken through to the 7th level of the celestial being realm. Even if they joined forces, they could barely contend against a demon saint. This time, in the demon clan army, a total of 5 demon saints took action, not to mention the remaining celestials. It was almost a face-to-face confrontation. The illusory race fell into a complete defeat. Want to kill me? It's not that easy. Let's die together. Bang! A seriously injured illusory race celestial self-destructed, blasting a demon saint back repeatedly. However, the celestial self-destruction did not save the illusory race from the disadvantage. Bang! The city wall collapsed. Many illusory race cultivators were seriously injured. Compared to the demon clan army, the illusory race's strength was really too weak. The two were simply not on the same level. Bang! A person fell from the void. Huan Quan's physical body collapsed, and blood flowed like a pillar. Saint Azure stood in the air, looking at Huan Quan with his hands behind his back, a sinister smile on his face. The illusory race will definitely lose today. P.S. The last round of the Qin Shujian character promotion event has begun. If you want to participate, you can take a look at the details of the event in the comment section. Chapter 677. Rumble. A tyrannical aura came over. Several major powerhouses suddenly appeared. I've long heard of Saint Azure's great name. Today, I'll experience it too. A hearty voice came over. Following that, a person stepped on the air and came over, directly bombarding a punch towards Saint Azure. Saint Azure's expression did not change. Turning around, he similarly punched out. Bang! Two fists collided, the void exploded. Saint Azure's body swayed slightly, but the arrival retreated very far. Why? Does the Ice Sparrow clan want to be enemies with my demon race too? Saint Azure's eyes were cold as he looked at the arrival and said indifferently. While talking, the thin layer of frost on his fist had already quietly melted away. Hearing that, Bai Na suppressed the surging vital energy and blood in his body without changing his expression and said with a faint smile, "The myriad race battlefield opened. What's there to be said about being enemies or not? The Ice Sparrow clan doesn't want to make a move against the demon race. But the logic of being cold without lips, I also understand. Today, the illusionary race is exterminated. I'm afraid that the demon race's troops will target my Ice Sparrow clan tomorrow. Therefore, the illusionary race can't be exterminated today. I hope that Saint Azure can be magnanimous enough to forgive. Looks like you're already determined to be so." Saint Azure's expression was icy cold. He shifted his gaze away from Bai Na, then looked at the other few major powers. These major powerhouses also all came from different small races. Bai Na said in a solemn voice, "Our various races' armies are already rushing over. Saint Azure, why do you have to make things difficult for us, the small races? Why not retreat here and now? You and I will take it as if nothing happened today. You're threatening this saint. I'm just stating the facts. If we, the small races, resist desperately, I believe that the demon race will also suffer considerable losses." Bai Na's expression was calm as he said, "The demon race should have quite a few enemies too, right? How can the contest of heaven and earth's general trend be so easy? The human race, Blood Eldar, as well as the other races, are likely also eyeing the demon race. Our small races also don't ask for too much under the surging general trend. We just hope to be able to protect ourselves. This saint will see if you all have this strength or not." As his words faded, Saint Azure made his move. Bang! A horrifying power spread out. Bai Na's expression changed, but he did not retreat either. On the other side, Huan Quan also eased up and joined forces with Bai Na, charging over towards Saint Azure. From beginning to end, the two of them had never thought that they could make the demon race retreat with just a few words. Battle. It was inevitable. However, Huan Quan's heart calmed down. Right now, the various races' allied forces were on their way over. Bai Na's strength was also at the 8th stage of the heaven-human realm. Even if two 8th stage celestial realm experts were no match for a 9th stage celestial realm expert, it was not a big problem for them to maintain the situation and not lose. Meanwhile, as the mighty figures of several clans joined in, the monster saints of the monster clan were all intercepted. However, the demon race's army was still large in number, and there were also quite a number of celestial being experts accompanying the army. The illusory race still hadn't recovered from their disadvantage. Human territory. U City. Qin Yuanbai brought Fire Sage and Yodali back through Cold Mountain City's teleportation array and returned to the 10,000 tribes battlefield. Is this the 10,000 races battlefield? Neodali raised his head and looked at the sky. It was a sky that should have been clear. At this moment, there was a faint blood-red color covering it. It was the color of blood condensed from slaughter. Neodali wasn't the only one who noticed this. Even Holy Fire had noticed this. Killing has materialized so quickly. Didn't the 10,000 races battlefield just open? Holy Fire was secretly shocked. Just how many living beings would have to fall in order to achieve such a feat? How long had the 10,000 races battlefield been open? It had only been a few days. But even so, the slaughter had already reached such a tragic level. Qin Yuanbai sighed. When I left the 10,000 races battlefield, there wasn't such a strong killing intent. Now it has become like this. It's really unexpected. Fortunately, from the looks of it, the human race didn't have any major problems. Back in the City Lord Mansion, Embark was already sitting there. As Qin Yuanbai entered, he also saw Neo Dali and Holy Fire. Vain Master Neo! Holy Fire! Elder Yin! The two didn't act impolitely, and cupped their hands slightly in response. After they took their seats, Qin Yuanbai said, During the few days I was away, did the human race make any movements? The scouts sent back news. Embark nodded and replied, The monster clan sent an army to attack the illusion race. The Blood Eldar also targeted a small clan. At the same time, many clans sent cultivators to our human race's territory to investigate. However, most of the cultivators who came to investigate have been killed by us. So far, no army has stepped into our territory. In that case, they plan to deal with the small clans first, then accumulate strength before turning around to deal with the human race. In an instant, Qin Yuanbai knew the plan of these large clans. Obviously, the human race was a tough bone that no one wanted to bite. If they fought with the human race and both sides suffered losses, it would only be taken advantage of by others. In this way, the target of these large clans was naturally those small clans. But we can't rule out that they just want to confuse the human race. They want to wait for us to let down our guard and then attack the human race's territory in one fell swoop. Qin Yuanbai also thought of another possibility. Now that they were fighting for the general trend of the world, anything could happen. Thinking of this, Qin Yuanbai took out a map and looked at it seriously. This was the map of the 10,000 races battlefield. Last time, he walked through the entire 10,000 races battlefield with Xia Kun. In the end, he relied on his photographic memory to draw it. On the map, there were many small marks. Every place marked represented a clan's power. As for the human race, it was located in the east of the 10,000 races battlefield. It was a very good geographical location with its back against the border of the 10,000 races battlefield. If the other clans wanted to attack the human race, they could not go around the back and could only attack from the front. This was also very consistent with the current situation of the human race. Because the human race occupied the entire East continent, if the other clans wanted to attack the human race, they could only go through the canyon that Qin Shujian had cut and attack the human race from the front. It was the same for the 4 major continents. It was the same for the 10,000 races battlefield. The human race still has some innate advantages. We don't have to be attacked from all sides like some other clans and need to disperse our forces too much to defend. Qin Yuanbai said, then paused for a moment before continuing. It's a good thing that the other clans are not attacking the human race now. However, the purpose of the 10,000 races battlefield, apart from fighting for the general trend of the world, is to train the troops. If the human race keeps defending passively, it won't have the effect of training the troops. Elder Qin, what do you mean? It's very simple. The human race should take the initiative to attack. Qin Yuanbai pointed at the blank areas on the map. Not every inch of land in the 4 major continents is the territory of others. As a miniature version of the 4 major continents, the 10,000 races battlefield naturally has many blank territories. These territories are also the targets of the other clans. If our race doesn't attack the other clans, we can send people over to fight for some of these places. These places are not connected to the territory of the human race. If we occupy them, it will be difficult to take care of each other. Embark shook his head and said, those blank areas were some distance away from the human race. If they occupied those places, it would be difficult for the human race to defend them. Qin Yuanbai said, our goal is not to defend the city, but to train the troops. Moreover, when the Qin Emperor refined the 10,000 races battlefield, he fused the blood essence of the emperors of the 10,000 races. There was no lack of perfected immortals among them. The blood essence of these experts is enough to produce many treasures. We might not need them, but the other disciples and cultivators of the 10,000 races do. Now that we send people over, we can fight with the 10,000 races and train the troops. It's also a good thing to be able to plunder some resources. Qin Yuanbai had never forgotten. If the human race didn't fight for the general trend of the world, their only real purpose was to train the troops. Now, the human race had the conditions to produce enough experts. But the problem was, the remaining time of the human race was not enough to support the birth of those experts under normal circumstances. In this way, therefore, extreme measures had to be used. Using war to support war. Using soldiers to support soldiers. In today's world of great battles, the strong would naturally survive and the weak would be defeated. Hearing this, Huixing and Niu Dali didn't speak. For them, Qin Yuanbai could decide whatever he wanted. Anyway, their main purpose was to be the human race's assistant. Embark pondered for a moment and said slowly, that's fine. Contact the other cities. If it's appropriate, let someone lead a team over. As Qin Yuanbai spoke, he suddenly paused and asked, is there any movement from the Great Zhao Empire? The Great Zhao Empire is now mobilizing troops and seems to be attacking a certain clan, but the news is secretive and there is no news for the time being. Embark shook his head and said, if the Great Zhao Empire wanted to attack other clans, they naturally had to keep it a secret. It was not easy for the Qianyuan sacred ground to find out the news. At this time, the flames of war had been completely ignited on the 10,000 race battlefield. The general trend of heaven and earth. It was the foundation that determined whether a clan could completely rise in the world of great battles. The continuation of a clan. It was inseparable from the support of the general trend. So, as soon as the 10,000 race battlefield opened, there were clans that took the lead in starting a war and killing instantly. Until now, only a few large clans could still maintain peace on the 10,000 race battlefield. These large clans didn't make a move, and the other clans didn't want to attack either, so as not to get into trouble. This was also the difference between large clans and small clans. Large clans could only attack others, but they rarely had the chance to be attacked. In comparison, the small clans were much more chaotic. There were threats from large clans and also fights between small clans. This was also why, in just a few days, the killing of heaven and earth had condensed into a substance. Inside U City, the teleportation array kept flashing. One cultivator after another walked out from inside. These cultivators. There were players and local cultivators. The local cultivators were divided into 3 types. One was the disciples of Qianyuan Academy who came here on a mission. The other was the commoners who were involved in cultivation and were forcibly conscripted by the Qianyuan sacred ground. In addition to these, there was a 3rd type. The 3rd type was the cultivators who volunteered to go, hoping to take advantage of this opportunity to soar into the sky. The 10,000 race battlefield. For them, it was both a danger and an opportunity. In an inn, several players sat down. As soon as Chao Hong sat down, he asked the waiter on the side, "Waiter, do you have a menu?" "Yes, please wait a moment." The waiter immediately turned and left. Not long after, he came back with a menu. "Sir, please take a look." "Okay." Chao Hong reached out and took the menu, then casually flipped through it. His face suddenly turned green. Noticing that his face was ugly, the other players were curious and asked, "Brother Chao, what's wrong?" Take a look for yourselves. Chao Hong didn't want to talk and directly handed the menu over. The other players took the menu and took a look. It didn't take long for their faces to turn gloomy. Qiu Qingqing slapped the table and shouted, "Shopkeeper, you're exaggerating. You charge me 1 silver coin for a steamed bun, and the lowest price for any dish is 1 silver coin. Are you running a black shop?" As she spoke, her beautiful eyes were filled with anger. A steamed bun outside was at most 1 silver coin, but here, it was 100 times more expensive. Qiu Qingqing wasn't the only one who was angry. The others were also furious. Even if they wanted to rip off customers, they shouldn't do it like this. In response, the smile on the waiter's face didn't fade as he replied politely, "Miss, you're exaggerating. Don't you think about where you are? This is the battlefield of the 10,000 races, and your city is the front line of the human race. If you open a shop here, you might be attacked by the army of the 10,000 races. We earn our hard-earned money, so it's normal for it to be a little more expensive. Moreover, our prices are the most fair. If you go to other shops, I'm afraid the prices won't be so cheap. Waiter, it's normal for it to be a little more expensive, but you increase the price by 100 times. This can't be explained by a little more." Lu Qinghong's face was gloomy as he said coldly, "Even if he was rich, he shouldn't be such a spendthrift." The waiter's smile faded a little, but his tone was still calm. "Sorry, you get what you pay for. This can't be helped. Otherwise, the next time you come to the battlefield, you can prepare your own food. However, this is the price of food in the battlefield. Brother, let's go." Lu Qingqing stood up and said angrily. Lu Qinghong tugged at her, then looked at the waiter and said, "Give me 10 steamed buns and 2 plates of this side dish." "That's it." After saying that, he directly handed the menu back to her. "Please wait a moment, sir." The waiter smiled and left. After he left, Lu Qingqing said unhappily, "Why do we still have to come here to eat? This is clearly a scam." I'm afraid what he said is true. Look, there are many people in the shop. The battlefield of the 10,000 races is indeed bloody. There's a reason why it's expensive. Lu Qinghong shook his head. He could still afford a few taels of silver, but he was a little unhappy to spend it like this. However, no matter how unhappy he was, it had to be practical. "Let's just go back to the eastern continent and prepare some food. It's too late to go back now." Lu Qinghong shook his head and said, "The cost of teleporting back and forth can't be made up by the cost of food. Moreover, the storage ring can't hold so many things. Forget it, there's no need to be too calculative. Brother Lu is right." Chao Hong also nodded at this time. Seeing this, the other players couldn't say anything else. This time, their main purpose of entering the battlefield was to gain experience and level up. Now, there were no monsters to fight in the eastern continent. There were only those monsters coming and going. Now that there were more and more human cultivators, the monsters were decreasing day by day. As for the other continents, to be honest, every race had powerhouses guarding it. If players wanted to hunt weak cultivators, they would definitely be hunted down by those powerhouses. Sometimes, the experience gained from killing a few foreign cultivators was not as fast as the experience gained from dropping levels. Therefore, now the 4 continents were unfriendly to all players. Only the opening of the battlefield gave these players hope of leveling up. Because the battlefield was chaotic, it was naturally a good place to kill monsters and level up. It was also easier for players to fish in troubled waters. Besides that, it was to earn merit points. At the same table, a male player complained, "Emperor Qin is really ruthless. He cut off the source of our cultivation techniques. Without cultivation techniques, even if we have experience points, we can't level up. I really don't know how much hatred he has with us players." What hatred? How could he be so ruthless to the players? Chao Hong sighed helplessly. Emperor Qin has no choice. Tens of millions of players can't even take a trace of his HP. Even if it's a tyranny, he can only endure it. However, with the merit points, there's hope that we can get higher-level cultivation techniques. By the way, have you joined the Heavenly Alliance? You mean the mysterious organization that has gathered many people? Lu Qinghong looked surprised. Heavenly Alliance. How could he not have heard of it? This was an organization that had only emerged in the real world in recent years. It was said that it had existed thousands of years ago. It was only because of the Age of Doom that the Heavenly Alliance fell silent. Now that the spirit Qi had recovered, this ancient organization had reappeared. Could it be that Brother Chao has joined the Heavenly Alliance? That's right. Chao Hong nodded and said in a deep voice. According to my observation, the Heavenly Alliance might really be an ancient organization. There are many experts in it. Of course, this is not the main point. The main point is that there are many cultivation techniques in the Heavenly Alliance. There are even many divine realm cultivation techniques that can help one become a heavenly being. If we can get the cultivation techniques in the Heavenly Alliance, we can also cultivate in the game. This way, the problem of cultivation techniques can also be solved. Hearing that, everyone's spirits were lifted. Although they had not joined the Heavenly Alliance, they had heard of its power. If they could really join the Heavenly Alliance, it would be an excellent thing. Lu Qinghong's eyes flickered. So, Brother Chao can recommend us to join the Heavenly Alliance? Of course, you can join the Heavenly Alliance. However, there will be an assessment. If you can pass the assessment, you can become a member of the Heavenly Alliance. If you can't, then there's no way. What assessment? I don't know. Chao Hong shook his head and said, The assessment of the Heavenly Alliance is ever-changing. No one knows what the specific assessment is. As an official member of the Heavenly Alliance, I only have 5 recommendations. After 5 recommendations, it won't be so easy for me to recommend others to join the Heavenly Alliance. After that, Chao Hong had a faint smile on his face. Lu Qinghong raised his eyebrows. Just say it. What price do we have to pay? It's very simple. 100 merit points per recommendation. When you have enough merit points, trade them to me. I'll recommend you. Chao Hong stretched out a finger and said with a faint smile. 100 merit points. Hearing that, everyone's expression changed. A player frowned and said, 100 merit points is too much. Killing an alien in the spiritual martial realm only gives 10 merit points. Moreover, we have to bring the corpse back. The most troublesome thing to get merit points was they had to bring the corpse back. Some alien corpses were huge. If they were to bring them back, they would undoubtedly be a big target. As for the storage ring, it might not be able to accommodate the alien corpses. If they did not bring the corpse back, they would not be able to get merit points. It could be said that 100 merit points was already considered a sky-high price. Chao Hong shook his head and said, 100 merit points are not expensive at all. In addition to cultivation methods, there are many ancient experts in the Heavenly Alliance. You can even pay some price to ask for guidance from those ancient experts. You should know very well how big the difference is between crossing the river by feeling the stones and having someone to guide you. There are ancient experts in the Heavenly Alliance. Everyone was stunned. Their understanding of the Heavenly Alliance was only superficial. Hearing that, Chao Hong looked proud. Of course, a heavenly being expert can live for thousands of years. The Age of Doom only lasted for thousands of years. It's not surprising that there are ancient experts. There are some things that I can't say too much about since you are not from the Heavenly Alliance. Anyway, the opportunity to enter the Heavenly Alliance is very rare. You can think about it yourselves. After that, he did not say anything else. Lu Qinghong and the others looked at each other. Obviously, they were considering the gains and losses of this matter. To this, Chao Hong was not in a hurry. Soon, the dishes were served. 2 simple side dishes and a pile of steamed buns. Lu Qinghong looked straight at Chao Hong and asked in a deep voice, I want to know why Brother Chao gave this opportunity to us. It's very simple. If the person who introduced you passes the assessment, and successfully joins the Heavenly Alliance, you will be rewarded as the person who introduced you. Chao Hong did not hide this matter at all. In the face of Lu Qinghong's doubts, he said frankly, "If the person who introduced you is not good, you will only lose a place. In my opinion, Brother Lu and the others are not weak and have a high probability of passing the assessment. Otherwise, do you think a place is really only worth 100 merit points?" To this, Chao Hong sneered. The Heavenly Alliance was not just revived. Now it was slowly recovering, and there were more and more cultivators joining. Correspondingly, the conditions for entering the Heavenly Alliance had become stricter. Oh, someone wants to join the Heavenly Alliance again? It seems that it's quite close. The Blade Master took out the Heavenly Alliance Jade token and raised his eyebrows slightly. As the founder of the Heavenly Alliance, nothing that happened in the Heavenly Alliance could be hidden from his eyes and ears. During this period of time, the Blade Master had been traveling all over the world and constantly spreading the Heavenly Alliance Jade token. Then, he played the role of various peerless experts in the Heavenly Alliance and made the Heavenly Alliance look like an ancient force. Up until now, there were no less than 100,000 disciples in the Heavenly Alliance. It could be said that this force could be considered to have officially entered the Heavenly Alliance. The Blade Master glanced at the Heavenly Alliance Jade token and then replied to a message with a sock puppet. "Leave the assessment to me." After replying to the message, he put away the Heavenly Alliance Jade token. Instinctively, the Blade Master also looked up at the sky. The rules were still densely packed there. However, it was different from before. The aura emitted from it was getting stronger and stronger. It's going to wake up completely. This is troublesome. I need to hurry. The Blade Master shook his head helplessly. Thinking of this, he could not help but complain. It's not up to me to decide whether it's fast or not. Forget it, I'll take one step at a time. If it really can't be done, I'll retreat first. Otherwise, if the Heavenly Tao notices, I'll really die here. Everyone was afraid of death. The Blade Master was the same. Moreover, it was meaningless to die at this time. He took out the token and glanced at it. The cracks on the token were increasing day by day. The more the Heavenly Tao wakes up, the less time it can resist. The Blade Master shook his head and sighed. I told him to refine the token better. If he insists on refining a half-finished heavenly deceiving token, it won't be effective at all. That was what he said. However, the Blade Master also knew how difficult it was to refine the real heavenly deceiving token. Not to mention the complete heavenly deceiving token. Even a half-finished heavenly deceiving token was extremely difficult to refine. As for the imitation, it was not difficult to refine, but it was also useless. He put away the token. The Blade Master took out a mask from the storage ring and put it on. Then, he followed the Heavenly Alliance Jade token's guidance and walked toward one of the directions. Anyone who wanted to join the Heavenly Alliance had to undergo an assessment. The assessment system was set by the Blade Master himself. The purpose was to make the Heavenly Alliance look more like an ancient force. Or else, it would be meaningless if everyone could join the Heavenly Alliance casually. As for the people taking the assessment, some were done by the Blade Master himself, while others were done by an old man. Anyway, it was more or less the same. It was purely a formality. In the Qianyuan realm, Qin Shujian kept the Qianyuan sacred ground in check. Now, all the attention of the myriad races was on the battlefield. So, the 4 continents were much calmer now. Qin Shujian was not in a hurry. He could now see the growth of his life source every day. As long as he had enough time, he could improve his strength. According to the current trend, I can break through to the 9th level of the celestial being in about 2 years. If everything goes well, this time can be brought forward. Qin Shujian thought to himself. It was already very fast to reach the 9th level of the celestial being in 2 years. In other words, under normal circumstances, in 5 years he could break through to the 10th level of the celestial being and officially cultivate the Guiyuan Ancestral Classic to perfection. Once the Guiyuan Ancestral Classic was perfected, Qin Shujian felt that he had the confidence to flip the table. Let's wait a little longer. He was not in a hurry. It would still be a long time before the demonic abyss arrived. At most, after he broke through to the 10th level of the celestial being, he would directly destroy all the races except for the human race and harvest a wave of life source. But when that time came, the human race would probably have to stake everything on this one throw. He shook his head. Qin Shujian took out a jade talisman and read the message inside. This was a message from the battlefield. No forces are attacking the human race. Could it be that Empress Zhao and I were too ruthless and made these races fear us? Qin Shujian frowned. This wasn't good news. If the myriad races did not attack, how could the human race train their troops? If the human race did not train their troops, how could they harvest more life source? However, Qin Shujian also knew that the biggest problem of the current Qianyuan sacred ground was the lack of top powerhouses. There had to be top powerhouses. There was no need for the Qianyuan sacred ground to focus on defense. They could take the initiative to attack other races. However, because of the lack of top powerhouses, there was no possibility of implementing this plan. Even if there was one more fire sage, it would not be of much use. After all, Fire Sage was only a cultivator in the 8th level of the celestial being. Moreover, the only powerhouse that the Qianyuan sacred ground could bring out now was Fire Sage. As for Jizhou and Wushan, they had temporarily left the East continent. Looking at the small races, although they were not strong, there were still a few powerhouses. This was a comparison. The Qianyuan sacred ground was a little weak. Qin Shujian said, Senior, if I let you enter the battlefield, would it be considered a violation of the oath? Of course. Godslayer said angrily. I have already recognized you as my master. To a certain extent, there's no difference between me and you. If you want me to go and kill those powerhouses of the foreign races, I can. As long as you can deal with the Thunder Tribulation, it will be fine. Otherwise, don't think about taking advantage of this loophole. After all, you are not from your previous life. In the end, Godslayer added in his heart. If he wanted to not be afraid of the Thunder Tribulation, he had to surpass the rules. In his opinion, as an existence above the rules in his previous life, Qin Shujian was qualified to ignore the Thunder Tribulation. But now, it was better to stay put. The Thunder Tribulation! Qin Shujian sighed. This was a difficult problem. Godslayer could not make a move, which meant that the Heaven List could not make a move either. Unless, if he removed the Master Mark, then there would be no problem. But whether it was for Zhu Bing or the Heaven List, it was impossible to remove the Master Mark. After thinking about it, Qin Shujian found that he was really just a spectator. 2 days later, the mother stream of laws shook. The vast mother stream of laws appeared between heaven and earth. Such a change. Naturally, it attracted the attention of all the powerhouses. Someone is going to attain the Tao. Qin Shujian looked up and saw the scene outside through the sky of the Qianyuan realm. An emperor had attained the Tao. This was not a strange thing. After all, there were so many 10th-level celestial beings in the 4 major continents. It was normal for someone to attain the Tao and become an immortal by chance. However, Qin Shujian sensed a familiar aura from the mother stream of precepts. Could it be? His heart skipped a beat. Then, he saw a long stream of laws break out from the mother stream and spread towards the sky. A person walked out of the mother stream of laws. Every step he took was blocked by the phantom of a powerhouse. But in front of the other party, they were blasted to pieces. It is indeed the Dog Emperor! Seeing the appearance of that person, Qin Shujian had a faint smile on his face. The Dog Emperor had attained the Tao. This was unexpected, but it was also within reason. The other party was already a Nirvana powerhouse. Attaining the Tao was just a matter of chance and coincidence. The opportunity had arrived. Naturally, he could attain the Tao. If the opportunity did not arrive, he would not be able to take this step. Looking at the Dog Emperor in the sky, Qin Shujian was not too worried. According to the alliance agreement with the nine-headed dog clan, the Dog Emperor had attained the Tao. The human race had to help. But the problem was, if no one blocked the Tao, then there was no need for the human race to help. The probability of blocking the Tao shouldn't be too high, Qin Shujian thought to himself. The current situation was different from before. The various clans had an agreement to focus on the battlefield. If the Dog Emperor attained the Tao, the other clans might not stop him. However, Qin Shujian was sure of one thing. If he was the one who attained the Tao, the myriad clans would make a move no matter what. Because he, who had not attained the Tao, was already feared by the myriad clans. If he, the Qin Emperor, attained the Tao, as long as the myriad clans were not stupid, they would definitely make a move. At this moment, all the powerhouses of the four continents had their attention on the Dog Emperor. For those cultivators who had not attained the Tao and become immortals, to be able to observe the powerhouses attaining the Tao, it was also a rare opportunity. He is still one step ahead of others. Earth Emperor shook his head with a regretful expression. His strength was not weaker than the Dog Emperor. Everyone was in the Nirvana realm and was only one step away from becoming an immortal. However, the Dog Emperor was still ahead of him. Once the other party succeeded, the difference in strength between the two sides would be like heaven and earth. Below, an elder said, the Dog Emperor might not succeed in attaining the Tao. It is also possible that he failed. No, as long as no one obstructs the Tao, with the Dog Emperor's foundation, it is impossible for him to fail. As for obstructing the Tao, Earth Emperor sneered. Who do you think will still make a move to stop the Dog Emperor from attaining the Tao? The Dog Emperor was an ally of the human race. The Dog Emperor attained the Tao. The human race had no reason to stand by and do nothing. Not to mention the existence of the battlefield. If someone really made a move, they would have to consider how many true immortals they would have to send to stop the human powerhouses. As for personally making a move, there was also the risk of dying. Naturally, no one was willing to do it. And the sealed true immortals, even if the various clans still had them, they were not many. At this moment, the myriad clans were unusually calm. In the sky, the Dog Emperor had already opened up the battlefield. But until now, no one had made a move to stop him. Because everyone knew that the Dog Emperor was not alone, and he had the backing of the human race. If a true immortal blocked the Tao, there would definitely be a human powerhouse who would make a move. However, there were also powerhouses who hoped that someone could stop the Dog Emperor from attaining the Tao. Because this way, the strength of the human race would be weakened by a lot. Time passed bit by bit. The Dog Emperor had already walked through more than half of the battlefield, but there was still no obstruction. All of a sudden, blood clouds surged in the sky. Two ancient true immortals walked out from the South Continent and the North Continent, and directly barged into the battlefield, wanting to stop the Dog Emperor from attaining the Tao. After so long of silence, in the end, some clans could not help but make a move. It was also at this moment a vast law rose from the human race and directly broke into the law battlefield. Emperor Zhao walked out from the East Continent and entered the battlefield. Emperor Zhao. The Dog Emperor was excited. Emperor Zhao looked at the two true immortals blocking his way and said calmly, Dog Emperor, just focus on attaining the Tao. Benwan will take care of the rest. Thank you. The Dog Emperor cupped his hands and thanked him. Then, he took a deep breath and continued forward. When the two true immortals blocking his way saw this, killing intent appeared in their eyes. In the next moment, they directly attacked. Boom! The power tore the sky and earth apart, wanting to swallow the Dog Emperor in one fell swoop. Emperor Zhao flicked his sleeves. Tens of thousands of feet of wind shattered the vacuum, causing a monstrous wave to rise in the battlefield, engulfing the two true immortals. P.S. Support the original, Chidian Chinese networks. I'm really decent. Chapter 678. Support the original, Chidian Chinese networks. I am decent. The mountain was bare. The grass was withered. There weren't even many trees. There was only a simple and crude village made of wood. Strictly speaking, this was just a desolate mountain. Even the birds that passed by did not want to linger. Sigh! Qin Shujian was bored to death as he sat on a large rock. Beside him was a large saber that was chipped in a few places. Coupled with the patched clothes on his body and the holes in his straw sandals on his feet, he looked like he was about to die. He looked more like a beggar than a bandit. However, he was really a bandit. No, to be precise, he was a bandit. Name, Qin Shujian. Identity, Ordinary Bandit Affiliation, Liangshan Village Realm, Level 1 of Basic Martial Arts Cultivation Method, Level 1 of Body Forging Scripture, 5 levels in total, Mortal Level, Low Grade, Equipment, Broken Sword, Tattered Shirt, Tattered Pants, Tattered Straw Sandals. This was Qin Shujian's current attribute panel. When he first came to this world, he thought he had been reborn. However, after a day of learning, Qin Shujian finally realized that he had become an NPC in the game. As for why he was so sure? Because at the bottom right of the attribute panel, there was a countdown timer that kept ticking. 2 days, 15 hours, 23 minutes, 41 seconds until the arrival of the players. Sigh. Seeing this, Qin Shujian let out a long sigh. The players were coming. And his current identity, no matter how he looked at it, was like a cannon fodder NPC in the beginner's village. He existed specifically to give experience to the new players. Killed, resurrected, killed again, resurrected again. Qin Shujian suddenly thought of the scene when he was playing the game. At that time, he didn't feel much about those cannon fodder NPCs. But now that his identity had changed, he deeply felt this kind of sorrow. Wait! Qin Shujian's face suddenly froze. He seemed to have overlooked something. And that was, his body's original identity was indeed an NPC, but now, it had been taken over by someone else, and it was completely replaced. In this way, whether or not he could be resurrected was still unknown. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian suddenly quivered and jumped up from the big rock. No, this won't do. What if he can't be revived? Wouldn't I suffer a huge loss? There are still more than 2 days left. We can't just sit here and wait for death. Qin Shujian took a few deep breaths as he looked at the countdown timer on his attribute panel. It was as if he was looking at his own death timer. It wasn't easy for him to live again. Even if he was an NPC, it was still better than completely disappearing. Even if I have to be an NPC, I will never be a cannon fodder NPC. Qin Shujian silently set a flag for himself. If he didn't want to become a cannon fodder NPC, he would have to increase his level. I mean, strength. Only then would he be able to get out of this awkward situation. This game didn't have the level system that he was familiar with. Instead, it adopted a different division of realms. As for the so-called body tempering scripture, Qin Shujian discovered that there was indeed such a technique in his mind. But that was only a superficial technique to train one's body. It required the accumulation of years and months of practice. There was no way he could master it in a short period of time. But Qin Shujian had his own thoughts. Since it was a game, he definitely couldn't do without killing NPCs to level up. As for where to kill NPCs, Qin Shujian looked at the people walking around and smiled. He was now in a nest of NPCs. There was no need to look for them. The only problem was, he himself was an NPC. Then, could he really get something like experience points or leveling up by killing his own kind? Bending down to pick up the broken broadsword on the big rock, Qin Shujian walked toward one of the bandits, who was dressed similarly to him. At the same time, the attributes of that bandit appeared in his mind. Name, Zhang Ergu. Identity, Ordinary Bandit Affiliation, Liangshan Village Realm, Level 1 of Basic Martial Arts Cultivation Method, Body Tempering Scripture Level 1, 5 levels in total, Mortal Level, Low Grade, Equipment, Broken Broadsword, Tattered Shirt, Tattered Pants, Tattered Straw Sandals. Apart from the name, Everything else was exactly the same as Qin Shujian's. He didn't know if it was because of the game's characteristics or because the other bandits were in the same camp as him. In any case, Qin Shujian could see the other party's attributes as long as he wanted to. When Qin Shujian approached that bandit, he was still standing in the same spot. His eyes were looking outside. He stood there motionless like a piece of wood. Qin Shujian also tried to communicate with these people. In the end, the result was, apart from him, these bandits were no different from the cannon fodder NPCs in his impression. They didn't know how to talk and had no intelligence. Every day, they ate and rested on time, stood guard and patrolled. It was as if everything was going according to the settings. "Brother!" Qin Shujian patted him on the shoulder. Zhang Ergu turned to look at him, then turned back. "Ugh!" A big hand suddenly covered his mouth, and then he was forcefully dragged behind a big rock. Looking at Zhang Ergu, whose mouth and nose were covered, his hands and feet instinctively struggling, Qin Shujian's eyes hardened. He suddenly raised his broadsword and slashed down. Although the broadsword was broken, it was still abnormally sharp. Poochie, a light sound was heard. It was the sound of a blade piercing into flesh. Zhang Ergu was immediately pierced through. Blood flowed out from the wound. Then, a warm current rose from the broadsword and flowed into Qin Shujian's body. Thump! Qin Shujian's legs gave way and he staggered to the ground. His chest rose and fell violently, and his face was faintly pale. Murder! He killed someone. Looking at Zhang Ergu, who died with his eyes wide open, and the broadsword in his chest, the dark red blood was particularly eye-catching. Qin Shujian did not expect that killing an NPC would be so realistic. For a moment, he almost mistakenly thought that he was not in a game, and that he was not killing an NPC, but a real person. Fortunately, without waiting for Qin Shujian to be surprised for too long, Zhang Ergu's body slowly disappeared under his eyes. Only his original broken broadsword was left. The moment it lost its support, it fell to the ground. Bang! The soft sound of the broadsword hitting the ground made Qin Shujian completely come back to his senses. Seeing this scene, he let out a long sigh of relief, and his pale face recovered a lot. Good! Although it was a bit too realistic, at least my guess was right. Qin Shujian did not have the guts to kill someone, but it was impossible for him to not frown at all. He just raised his sword and slashed it down so quickly. Qin Shujian finally calmed down. Only then did he remember the warm current that just surged up. He immediately checked his own attributes. Name, Qin Shujian. Identity, Ordinary Bandit Affiliation, Liangshan Stronghold Realm. First stage of the Martial Realm Cultivation Technique. Body Tempering Scripture. First layer, plus, total of 5 layers, mortal level low grade, HP, 1 equipment, broken broadsword, tattered shirt, tattered pants, tattered straw sandals. The status panel was still the same as before. The only difference was that there was an additional HP attribute. In addition, there was a plus sign behind the first layer of the Body Tempering Scripture. Seeing the plus sign, Qin Shujian's mind could not help but move, and he lightly tapped it with his consciousness. He saw his HP instantly drop to 0. And under the cultivation technique, the words, Body Tempering Scripture, also twisted. Immediately after, a wave of power surged from his body, as if some subtle changes had occurred. Name, Qin Shujian. Identity, Ordinary Bandit Affiliation, Liangshan Stronghold Realm. Second stage of the Martial Realm Cultivation Technique. Body Tempering Scripture. Second layer, total of 5 layers, mortal level low grade, HP, 0 equipment, broken broadsword, tattered shirt, tattered pants, tattered straw sandals. His HP directly dropped to 0. His Body Tempering Scripture had changed from the first layer to the second layer, and his realm had also changed from the first layer of the Martial Realm to the second layer of the Martial Realm. My strength has roughly doubled. Picking up the broken broadsword from the ground, Qin Shujian weighed it in his hand, and found that it was a lot lighter than before. His originally skinny arms had faintly bulging muscles. Then he stretched on the spot, and he had a clearer understanding of his body. Every aspect of my body seems to have improved, but it's not as obvious as the increase in strength. He pinched his muscles, and the surface of his skin also had some toughness. This was the effect of increasing the body tempering scripture by one layer. The body tempering scripture was similar to the Liangshan strongholds cultivation technique. In any case, up until now, all the NPCs that Qin Shujian had come into contact with had cultivated this cultivation technique. As for the body tempering scripture's use, as the name implied, it was to temper the body. To temper the body and nourish one's strength. When the body tempering scripture reached the 5th layer, one would be able to spread the strength throughout the body, and every move would be able to explode with the strongest power. As for the body tempering scripture's mortal level low grade, Qin Shujian guessed that it should be the level of this cultivation technique. According to normal theory, this was the lowest level. Above it, there should be something like mortal level middle grade, mortal level high grade, and so on. Even if you haven't eaten pork, don't tell me you haven't seen a pig run? Qin Shujian still had some knowledge of these normal otherworldly, game theories. As for the HP, killing a Zhang Ergu NPC gave me an extra HP attribute. It should be something that can only be obtained by killing NPCs, but I don't know if it can be obtained by killing players. Qin Shujian's mind spun. Consuming 1 HP to increase the body tempering scripture by 1 layer. Increasing the realm by 1 layer is equivalent to directly increasing 1 level. If this is the case, leveling up in this game is quite easy. After all, in this Liangshan stronghold, these non-intelligent NPCs shouldn't think that their companions are trying to harm them. I wonder if Zhang Erge has already respawned. All of a sudden, his thoughts drifted away again. Suddenly, Qin Shujian shook his head violently. Thinking about this now was meaningless to him. The most important thing now was to think of a way to increase the body tempering scripture to the 5th layer. This way, before the players arrived, he could increase his strength to a higher level and get rid of his identity as a cannon fodder NPC. He had set a general goal for the short-term future. Qin Shujian held the broken broadsword and walked out from behind the big rock. Coincidentally, another patrolling bandit came from afar. Qin Shujian also walked towards the other party openly. Like Zhang Ergu, this patrolling bandit did not have any vigilance towards Qin Shujian. Even when he got close, he only glanced at him and directly walked past him. When the patrolling bandit's back was facing him, Qin Shujian grabbed the bandit's nose and mouth with one hand and his throat with the other. Then, he directly dragged the bandit behind the big rock. His cultivation had increased to the 2nd layer of the basic realm, and his strength had doubled. The patrolling bandit was only at the 1st layer of the basic realm. In front of Qin Shujian, it was impossible for him to resist, and he was easily dragged over. He did the same thing. His hand rose and the broadsword fell. Blood splattered again. The patrolling bandit fell to the ground with a puzzled look on his face. This time, Qin Shujian had experience. When he saw the bloody scene again, although his face was still somewhat pale, it was not to the point where he staggered and fell to the ground. However, this scene was too real. It was so real that the thick smell of blood continuously entered Qin Shujian's breath. He could only say in his heart, "This is not real. This is only a game. I only killed an NPC." These words were to comfort himself. He familiarly checked his status panel: name, Qin Shujian identity, ordinary bandit affiliation, Liangshan stronghold realm, 2nd layer of the basic realm cultivation method, body forging scripture 2nd layer, total of 5 layers, mortal level low grade, life points, 1 equipment, damaged broadsword, tattered shirt, tattered pants, tattered straw sandals. Just as Qin Shujian thought, his life points did increase by 1 point for every NPC he killed. However, Qin Shujian looked at the cultivation method column and frowned deeply. The plus sign that he expected did not appear this time. This also meant that the body forging scripture could not be upgraded this time. Previously, 1 life point was enough to upgrade the body forging scripture by 1 layer. Now that I have 1 life point, I can't upgrade it again. Is it because I don't have enough life points, Or is it because I can't continuously upgrade it? Qin Shujian thought to himself. If it was the first reason, then it would be fine. At worst, he could just kill a few more NPCs. In any case, he did not think that killing an NPC would be enough to upgrade the body forging scripture by one layer. If it was that easy, then he would only need to kill a few bandits, and the body forging scripture would be maxed out. But if it was the second reason, then things would be troublesome. Because what he lacked the most now was time. If there was a so-called cooldown time for every upgrade, then it would be really bad news. When the bandit on the ground disappeared, Qin Shujian made up his mind to continue testing his conjecture. One must know that any hypothesis had to be tested in practice. Fortunately, Cold Mountain Stronghold did not have much, but they had enough bandits. There were at least 50 bandits gathered in the small mountain. Soon, Qin Shujian left the place. The disappearance of the two bandits did not seem to attract the attention of Cold Mountain Stronghold. Or rather, no one knew where the two bandits had gone. Not long after, Qin Shujian encountered another bandit who was patrolling the mountain alone. With the previous two successful experiences, he already had a lot of confidence. There were no surprises. Almost as if he was familiar with the route, he forcefully dragged the lone bandit to a place that blocked his view. Then, he decisively finished him off. After finishing off the bandit, Qin Shujian checked his status again. Just as he had expected, his HP dropped from 1 to 2. But in the cultivation method column, the second layer of the body forging scripture was still there alone. There were no changes. The expected plus sign did not appear. Qin Shujian took a deep breath and calmed his mind. He could only attribute this to his low HP. After all, he did not want to admit that there was a cooldown time for upgrading the body forging scripture. After suppressing the restlessness in his heart, he immediately chose his next target. 1, 2. Every time he killed a bandit, Qin Shujian would check his status. When he found that there were no changes, he would continue to look for the next bandit. When he killed the fourth bandit, Qin Shujian checked his status again. Finally, his expression changed. Name, Qin Shujian. Identity, Ordinary Bandit Affiliation, Cold Mountain Stronghold Realm. Second layer of the basic realm cultivation method, body forging scripture second layer, plus, total of 5 layers, mortal level low grade, HP, 5 equipment, damaged broadsword, tattered shirt, tattered pants, tattered straw sandals. After his HP reached 5. There was finally a plus sign behind the second layer of the body forging scripture. Without any hesitation, Qin Shujian used his consciousness to click on it. His 5 HP was directly reset to 0. 1. The words of the second layer of the body forging scripture directly transformed into the third layer in his mind. His realm also went from the second layer of the basic realm to the third layer of the basic realm. A warm current surged from his body and instantly spread to his limbs and bones. His qi and blood also started to boil. At this moment, the space between his flesh and blood seemed to have become closer. His skin, which was originally somewhat pale, now had a bronze-like color. My strength has doubled from my original foundation. Qin Shujian felt as if he had practiced the body forging scripture for many years. He was familiar with the third layer of the body forging scripture. He felt as if he knew every inch of his body's improvement like the back of his hand. His strength had doubled from his original foundation. This was a significant improvement. One had to know. When he had advanced from the first layer of the basic realm to the second layer of the basic realm, his strength had doubled. Now that he had advanced from the second layer of the basic realm to the third layer of the basic realm, his strength had doubled again. In this way, his strength had increased by more than 4 times from the beginning. Furthermore, the increase in strength was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. After breaking through to the third layer of the basic realm, Qin Shujian suddenly had a premonition that even if he were to face those bandits head-on, less than 10 of them would not be a threat to him. Apart from that, after advancing to the third layer of the basic realm, the various aspects of my body have also improved. Although it is not as obvious as my strength doubling, it is still not a small improvement. After briefly familiarizing himself with the condition of his body, Qin Shujian once again looked at his status panel. The HP column had already been reset to 0. From the first layer of the body forging scripture to the second layer of the body forging scripture, I only need 1 HP. From the second layer of the body forging scripture to the third layer of the body forging scripture, I need 5 HP. The difference is a total of 5 times. After carefully calculating, Qin Shujian felt a toothache. If the difference was really 5 times, then even if he killed all the bandits in the Cold Mountain stronghold, he might not be able to reach the 5th layer of the body forging scripture. However, after knowing the increase in strength brought about by advancing to the next layer, Qin Shujian felt that it was only natural. Otherwise, the difficulty of this game would be too easy. The 3rd layer of the body forging scripture corresponds to the 3rd layer of the basic realm. Then, the 5th layer of the body forging scripture should correspond to the 5th layer of the basic realm. If this is the case, then the 5th layer of the basic realm should be able to fight against 100 people. Qin Shujian inwardly guessed. That was 16 times the strength of the 1st layer of the basic realm. However, these were all hypotheses and could not be taken seriously. After knowing that there was no cooldown time to increase the body forging scripture, and that there was only a requirement for HP, Qin Shujian felt somewhat comforted. Wasn't it just HP? There were so many bandits in Cold Mountain. Before he killed them all, there was no need to consider this problem. After all, he was only at the 3rd layer of the basic realm, and did not need to consider the 5th layer of the basic realm. As a person, one must be down to earth. One step at a time, one must become bigger and stronger. This was the absolute principle. After his strength increased to the 3rd layer of the basic realm, Qin Shujian felt that he could be considered an expert in the Cold Mountain stronghold. At the very least, those NPCs at the 1st layer of the basic realm would not be able to pose any threat to him. Meanwhile, to obtain more HP, it was no longer realistic to wait for the opportunity to strike. Moreover, if too many bandits died, it would be hard to guarantee that the Cold Mountain stronghold master would not notice. After all, a stronghold had a stronghold master. And the stronghold master was the most powerful NPC in the stronghold. Although Qin Shujian had not personally met the stronghold master of the Cold Mountain stronghold, he knew that the stronghold master was not someone these NPCs at the 1st layer of the basic realm could compare with. I must increase my strength as much as possible before the stronghold master of the Cold Mountain stronghold discovers me. This way, even if I am discovered, I can at least guarantee that I can escape if I can't defeat him. After making up his mind, Qin Shujian decided to take the initiative to attack. Previously, when he was fighting the NPCs one by one, the efficiency was too slow. There were only 2 more days until the players arrived. If he continued to waste time, he might die. Soon, Qin Shujian did not walk for long before he saw 3 bandits. 2 of them were patrolling bandits, while the other one was standing guard. When he quickly approached them, Qin Shujian did not hesitate. The large saber in his hand carried a fierce gust of wind and directly chopped at the neck of one of the patrolling bandits. With 4 times the strength of a normal bandit, the broken large saber in his hand was as light as a feather. The speed at which he swung his saber was many times faster. The patrolling bandit did not even have time to react before his neck was chopped by the saber. Bang! A large head flew into the air, accompanied by a spray of blood. This sudden turn of events caused the other patrolling bandit, and the one standing guard to be unable to react in time. However, shortly after, the eyes of the 2 bandits flashed with an ominous glint. Even if their intelligence was not high, they could still understand the situation in front of them. Just as they were about to make their move, Qin Shujian was already 1 step ahead of them. He took a big stride forward and swung his large saber in a backhand slash. The extremely fast saber directly chopped at the shoulder of the other patrolling bandit. The blade of the saber cut through the shoulder and directly cut 3 inches below the throat. Ah! After a short scream, the patrolling bandit immediately fell to the ground and died. At this moment, The other patrolling bandit had already swung his large saber at him. Qin Shujian immediately pulled out his saber and met the attack head-on. Bang! Bang! The two sabers collided, creating sparks. The large saber in the hands of the patrolling bandit was directly knocked away. Then, Qin Shujian swung his saber again and directly chopped the patrolling bandit to death. At this moment, in less than 10 seconds, the three bandits were dead. With the strength of a third stage of the martial arts realm, he was able to single-handedly crush these bandits, who were only in the first stage of the martial arts realm. Qin Shujian was slightly out of breath. It was not as if he did not expend any energy after killing 3 bandits in one go. However, this short confrontation allowed him to have a clear understanding of his own strength once again. Seeing that the fallen bandit had disappeared, Qin Shujian, who had gained 3 HP points, was in a good mood. Holding the large saber in his hand, he continued to search for his next target. Not long after, another bandit appeared in his line of sight. Qin Shujian did not hesitate at all. He directly raised his saber and chopped at the bandit. No, it should be chopped at the NPC. Name: Qin Shujian. Identity: Ordinary Bandit. Affiliation: Cold Mountain Stronghold. Realm: Martial Realm. Level 4. Cultivation Technique: Body Forging. Scripture Level 4, total of 5, Moral Level Low Grade, HP 2. Equipment: Damage Large Saber, Tattered Shirt, Tattered Pants, Tattered Straw Sandals. After his HP reached 25 points, Qin Shujian's realm increased to the 4th level of the martial realm as he wished. However, after his strength increased, he had no choice but to stop after killing 2 more bandits. It was not that Qin Shujian had a conscience. Ever since he had never treated the bandits of the Cold Mountain Stronghold as human beings, he had killed so many of them that he no longer felt anything. Of course, it was not that he had killed all the bandits of the Cold Mountain Stronghold. In fact, considering the number of bandits in the Cold Mountain Stronghold, he had only killed half of them at most. The real reason why Qin Shujian stopped was, when he killed the 33rd bandit, he received a notification in his mind. Because you have wantonly killed the bandits of the Cold Mountain Stronghold, you have attracted the attention of the Cold Mountain Stronghold Master, Wu Xing. The entire Cold Mountain Stronghold has been placed under martial law and is wantonly searching for the murderer. Note: if you kill the bandits of the Cold Mountain Stronghold again, your identity will be completely exposed. After your identity is exposed, you will be expelled from the Cold Mountain Stronghold and become a wandering NPC. You will also be hunted down by the Cold Mountain Stronghold Master. The Cold Mountain Stronghold Master's strength far surpasses that of the bandits of the Cold Mountain Stronghold. Please note: after receiving these 4 system notifications, Qin Shujian had no choice but to temporarily stop. The system specifically reminded him twice about the Cold Mountain Stronghold Master. Obviously, the other party's strength was not to be underestimated. Qin Shujian was not prepared to make a move against the other bandits until he understood the background of the Cold Mountain Stronghold Master, Wu Xing. He was not very clear about the consequences of being expelled from the Cold Mountain Stronghold and becoming a wandering NPC. However, Qin Shujian guessed that this would not be a good outcome. At least, before he understood the situation, he was not prepared to take any risks. Next, let's go take a look at this Cold Mountain Stronghold Master. Qin Shujian thought for a moment, and immediately made a decision. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will be victorious in every battle. If he continued on like this, there was a high probability that he would encounter the Cold Mountain Stronghold Master. This was a good opportunity to probe the other party's background. If he really could not defeat the other party, then he would make other plans. If the Cold Mountain Stronghold Master's strength was average, then he could not be blamed for turning hostile. The Cold Mountain Stronghold was not big. It was surrounded by steep cliffs that were difficult to climb. There was only one path leading up the mountain. There were many strange rocks on the mountain. The only place suitable for building a stronghold was a small area near the top of the mountain. Although the Cold Mountain Stronghold was called a stronghold, it was actually just a dozen or so wooden houses that were grouped together to enclose this piece of land. In the middle of the Cold Mountain stronghold was a simple and crude hall. On the brown plaque, 3 large words were written in a slanted manner. Hall of Loyalty. Seeing these 3 words, Qin Shujian was stunned for a moment. There was no other reason for this. It was because these words were too familiar. He did not know if all the bandits thought that they were loyal and righteous. There were no bandits guarding the Hall of Loyalty. Perhaps it was because Qin Shujian was a bandit himself, so no one stopped him. After entering the Hall of Loyalty, there was not much space inside. There were only a few tables and chairs placed on the left and right sides. In the center was a wooden table and chair covered with a layer of unknown beast skin. There was a tall and sturdy man sitting there. Unlike the shabby clothes that regular bandits wore, the tall and sturdy man was wearing a complete set of silk. Beside him was a large saber that was half the height of a person. The edge of the saber was shining with a cold light. Even though he was just sitting there motionlessly, there seemed to be a ferocious aura coming from him. The Cold Mountain Stronghold Master. Qin Shujian immediately recognized the other party's identity. His attributes appeared in his mind at the same time. Name, Wuxing Identity, Cold Mountain Stronghold Master Affiliation, Cold Mountain Stronghold Cultivation, Martial Initiation Realm Level 4. Enchantment? Qin Shujian was bewildered when he saw this. When he looked at the bandits, their attributes were completely displayed. But now, when he looked at Wuxing, only half of his attributes were displayed. As for the cultivation technique and below, it was completely absent. When he saw Wuxing, his suspended heart gradually calmed down. Martial Initiation Realm Level 4. To be honest, it was somewhat out of his expectations. It was not because it was too high. It was because it was too low. Qin Shujian originally guessed that Wuxing was most likely at the 5th stage of the Martial Initiation Realm, or even higher. But now that he was at the 4th stage of the Martial Initiation Realm, it was obviously good news. "What are you doing here?" Wuxing also saw Qin Shujian arrive. He glared at him with a pair of fierce eyes and his voice was not very friendly. He recognized this person. He was a member of the bandits, and could be considered one of them. What left a deep impression on him was the other party's name. He seemed to be called Qin Shujian. For Wuxing, this name was hard to remember, and not very pleasant to hear. It was far less pleasant than the other bandit names like Zhang Ergu, Li Gua, and Wang Gudin. In addition, there seemed to be a problem at Cold Mountain Stronghold today. Many bandits had disappeared, but he could not find the reason. This matter made Wuxing even angrier. Now that he saw Qin Shujian, his mood was naturally not good. "Stronghold Master, I know the reason why the other brothers disappeared." Qin Shujian coughed and said mysteriously. Wuxing's expression froze. Soon after, he anxiously said, "Speak quickly." Wuxing's reaction slightly surprised Qin Shujian. Based on the reactions of the other bandits in Cold Mountain Stronghold, he thought that Wuxing was similar to the other bandits, and should be an NPC without much intelligence. But now, after exchanging a few words with him, he saw the rich changes in his expression. Wuxing seemed to be different from the other bandit NPCs. In a sense, he was more like a person. Chapter 679. The sound of the bell echoed in the 4 cities. All the foreign cultivators who were about to step into the territory of the human clan stopped involuntarily. The human clan sensed it. "I'm afraid this bell is also a powerful divine weapon. Just from the sound of the bell, we can hear the murderous power in it." Many almighty experts couldn't help but look solemn. Although the army of the human clan was attacking the Shadow clan, it didn't mean the power of the human clan had declined to the point where it could be controlled by others. Dongshin said in a low voice. "The human clan was glorious in the ancient times, suppressing all the clans in the world. Now that the ancient times have been destroyed, the human clan is still alive. The appearance of Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin has given the human clan hope to rise again." However, the rise of the human clan is too short. The foundation of the ancient times has been consumed in the past million years. Shi Yang brought many experts to attack the Shadow Clan. Even if there are some remaining guards, they won't be too strong. Dongxun was worried that some people would be shaken, so he gave them a shot of confidence in advance. This time, the allied forces of the various clans attacked the human clan's territory not just to force Shi Yang to retreat. If it was possible, they also hoped to take down several cities in the human clan's territory and weaken the power of the human clan. So, the battle in the Shadow Clan resisted the attack of the human clan, but they also played the role of entangling the main force of the human clan. Don't worry. Since we've decided to join forces to attack the human clan, we won't retreat halfway. A water Eldar expert sneered. Dongxun glanced at him and said indifferently, "It better be so. Don't forget the domineering nature of the human clan. All the non-human clan forces either submit completely and become a vassal of the human clan or be destroyed by the human clan. Since the birth of the world, countless forces have been destroyed by the human clan. Even now, when the human clan is at its weakest, there are still top clans that have been destroyed by them. His clan was one of the 5 elements Eldar, the Gold Eldar. The Fire Eldar had been destroyed long ago. The Earth Eldar, which represented the Earth Eldar, was also destroyed by the human clan. Until now, only 3 of the 5 elements Eldar were left. The invisible sense of crisis made Kim Eldar want to find a way to save himself. Judging from the current situation, the human race was the one with the greatest chance of destroying Jin Eldar. Because Jin Eldar was a vassal of the demon race, the human race and the demon race had an irreconcilable hatred. There had to be a chance. The human race would definitely not mind weakening the demon race's strength. Other than that, what made them decide to attack the human race was the Dog Emperor's attainment of the Tao. The Dog Emperor attained the Tao. Indirectly, the strength of the human clan had also increased a lot. The stronger the human race was, this made them even more fearful. However, Dongxun didn't say these words. Everyone had a tacit understanding. While they were talking, the allied forces of the 5 elements Eldar officially stepped into the territory of the human race. "The foreign army is here! Retreat!" Yan Yongjun, who had been fighting the players from the western region, suddenly saw the scene in the distance. He didn't even think about it. He immediately retreated. Although the enemy in front of him was hateful, it was not worth it for him to pay the price of losing a level. Therefore, Yan Yongjun retreated without hesitation. He retreated. The other players in the team also retreated. "What should we do?" The players from the desolate great world had dark expressions. Looking at the retreating players from the eastern continent and the approaching foreign army, they fell into a dilemma. "Throw away all the corpses. We're retreating too." Luo Xian gritted her teeth and made a decision. Their strength was only at the spirit martial realm. If they were to face the foreign army head-on, only death would await them. At the same time, the corpses of the demon race were also very cumbersome. It was obviously unrealistic to want to carry the corpses away. Therefore, the only thing they could do now was to throw away the corpses and leave. Otherwise, if they stayed for a while, it would not be as simple as losing a few corpses. "This old lady will remember this grudge. We'll meet again in the future. We'll settle this properly in the future." Luo Xian hatefully looked at Yan Yongjun's back as he left. She resolutely turned around and fled. Dozens of merit points were gone just like that. Her heart ached as she watched. Now, if she didn't make a decision, she would be in trouble. Soon, the players from the desolate great world threw away the corpses and left in a different direction from Yan Yongjun. At this moment, the allied forces of the 3 races numbered in the tens of millions. At this moment, the army was vast and mighty. Their killing intent soared into the sky, and a terrifying aura swept in all directions. On the city wall of Yu City, Qin Yuanbai looked at the army of the 3 races in front of him with a dignified expression. Standing beside him were Yin Banqing and Fang Xinglan. "Gold Eldar, Water Eldar, Wood Eldar! It seems that the five elements Eldar is determined to be the enemy of the human race. Qin Yuanbai's face was cold. The human race's territory was now divided between the Great Jiao and the Qianyuan sacred ground. However, the five elements Eldar didn't go to the Great Jiao and instead came to the Qianyuan sacred ground. How could he not be angry? Yin Banqing said. There's news from the Great Jiao and they're asking if we need help. No need! Qin Yuanbai shook his head and refused. What a joke. The war hadn't even begun and they were asking for help from the Great Jiao. Did they really think that the Qianyuan sacred ground was shameless? Then, he looked at Yin Banqing and said, Have all the humans evacuated from the wilderness and returned to the city? Most of the humans have withdrawn, but I can't guarantee that everyone will return. After all, the news had been spread. Not everyone would obey orders immediately. I don't care so much. Qin Yuanbai's face turned cold, and he shouted in a low voice. Elder Fang, please make a move and activate the formation of the human race's territory to kill the allied forces of the three races. Okay. Fang Xinglan nodded and immediately formed a few seals. In an instant, a dense light rose from the human race's territory. Countless formation veins and threads formed a shocking formation. Boom! The formation took shape like thousands of horses and thousands of soldiers. A monstrous killing power emerged from it, strangling the cultivators of the three races. Not good! There's a formation! Dong Shun's expression changed, and he immediately blasted out with his palm. The terrifying power blasted a corner of the formation. But the problem was, the formation was vast. Although it seemed to be a complete formation, in fact, it was not related to each other. The destruction of a corner of the formation. It didn't affect the operation of the overall formation at all. In an instant, many cultivators of the three races were strangled. Seeing this scene, the powerful figures of the various races also reacted and bombarded the formation. The formation lines are under your feet. Destroy the formation lines under your feet. As long as these formation lines are erased, the formation will naturally be destroyed. Dong Xun shouted loudly. In Yu City, Fang Xinglan looked at the formation that covered the human race's territory in front of him. His eyes were calm without the slightest fluctuation. Although he was a first realm array master. But in fact, Fang Xinglan had also consulted Qin Shujian about the array Dao, and he also had some understanding of the second realm. The formation set up in the human race's territory. Rather than saying that it was a formation set up by himself, it was better to say that it was a shocking formation set up under Qin Shujian's guidance. Emperor Qin has already reached the third realm. The formation in front of me can be said to be a shocking formation of the third realm. Unfortunately, my strength is limited, and I can't completely unleash the power of this formation. However, even so, it's enough for you to suffer. Fang Xinglan revealed a faint smile on his face. The experts of the three races were forcibly destroying the formation lines on the ground, and he didn't make any response or stop them. Qin Yuanbai frowned deeply. Elder Fang, your formation seems to have improved greatly again. Of course. Fang Xinglan smiled slightly but didn't say too much. Qin Yuanbai said. As a first realm array master, Elder Fang is already very strong to be able to unleash such a level. It's just that the three races have sent out many mighty figures this time. I'm afraid there will be a hard battle. In his eyes, the formation could only kill ordinary cultivators. As for experts above the saint level, the formation wouldn't have much of an effect. To put it bluntly, no matter how strong Fang Xinglan was, he was only a first realm array master. If he wanted to match a saint, he needed to step into the second realm. If he wanted to match a mighty figure, he needed to step into the third realm. It could be said that, compared to the cultivation Dao, the array Dao was already very declining. It's going to be difficult. Qin Yuanbai sighed. The allied forces of the three races had a total of 10 mighty figures. On his side, only Fire Sage was at the 8th level of the heavenly human realm. Such a difference in strength was not ordinary. In that case, he might really have to ask for help from Did Zhao in the end. As for the loss of the human race's territory, he wasn't worried. Xiao Qingfeng was overseeing the sacred city. With the other party's strength, it was enough to stop these mere 10 mighty figures. After all, he had also seen Xiao Qingfeng's true strength. Moreover, Qin Shujian was confident that the other party would be overseeing the human race's territory. It was enough to show that his strength had already reached a terrifying level. At least from the looks of it now. In the human race's territory, there should be no one who was Xiao Qingfeng's match. Once the formation is broken, you guys join forces with me to kill as many heavenly humans as possible. Elder Neo will cooperate with Fire Sage to kill a mighty figure. We must ensure that nothing goes wrong. Qin Yuanbai turned his head and said to Neo Dali and Fire Sage. The formation couldn't hold on for much longer. If this continued, the formation would definitely be broken. Therefore, what the human race had to do was to take advantage of the moment when the formation was broken before the 3 races' powerhouses could react and strike first to gain the upper hand. As for the rest, they could put it aside first. This is nothing! Fang Xinglan was confident that victory was in his hands. Elder Fang still has a backup plan? Not only Qin Yuanbai, but even Yin Bancheng was stunned. Although they knew that the other party was only a first realm array master, he was already very strong to be able to do this. If there was a backup plan, the two of them didn't believe it. On the other side, Metal Eldar Dongshan destroyed the formation with a punch. Then, a terrifying power rose from his body. Then, he struck out with a palm print. Tens of thousands of feet of golden light erupted with a bang. Wherever the golden light passed, the formation retreated. Don't stay any longer. Let's end this quickly. Did the Qin Emperor give you this formation? I can't say. Fan Xinglan smiled meaningfully. For this, the others also understood in their hearts. If it was taught by Qin Shujian, then there was no problem. With the other party's means of covering the entire battlefield, his formation Dao cultivation could be said to be extremely high. Inside the Qianyuan sacred ground, Qin Shujian was originally silently cultivating. All of a sudden, he had a bad premonition in his heart. Then, he looked up at the sky and saw a faint blood color surging. The thunder tribulation. Qin Shujian's expression changed drastically. Even if he had never eaten pork, he had never seen a pig run. He had seen many thunder tribulations. Every time an ancient true immortal broke the seal and was born, there would be a thunder tribulation. That kind of destructive aura, Qin Shujian would never forget. Now, although the thunder tribulation above his head was a little thinner, the destructive power was still terrifying. Get out of here quickly. Otherwise, when the thunder tribulation strikes, the Qianyuan realm will definitely be destroyed. In the Sea of Consciousness, God Slayer urged. He did not expect it either. Why would the thunder tribulation suddenly appear? But there was one thing. However, the God-slaying saber was certain. That was, the thunder tribulation was coming for Qin Shujian. As Zhu Bing. His perception was extremely sharp. The aura of the thunder tribulation in the sky had locked onto Qin Shujian. Hearing this, Qin Shujian did not have time to think too much. He immediately left the Qianyuan sacred ground and rushed towards the endless mountain range. At this moment, the cultivators of the Liangshan spirit domain all looked up at the blood-colored thunder tribulation in the sky. Everyone's faces were both shocked and puzzled. This blood-colored aura looks a little familiar. What do you mean familiar? When Senior Xiai appeared, didn't this blood-colored aura appear? Later, when the true immortals of the various clans appeared, didn't this blood-colored aura appear as well? A cultivator was speechless and ridiculed. However, no matter how they thought about it, they could not understand why the blood-colored aura appeared again. The level of the thunder tribulation was too high. These cultivators could not understand too much. But there was one thing. However, they knew about it. That was, the thunder tribulation bred by the blood-colored aura would generally not strike other innocent people. It always had only one target. So, when these people saw the blood-colored thunder tribulation appear, they were not too afraid. Zhongzhou Prefecture. The moment the thunder tribulation appeared, it immediately attracted Emperor Zhao's attention. The thunder tribulation. Emperor Zhao's calm expression also changed. His eyes seemed to have crossed hundreds of millions of miles and directly saw the scene of the Liangshan spirit domain. Then, a puzzled look appeared on Emperor Zhao's face again. How can there be such a weak thunder tribulation? The thunder tribulation had appeared. But the problem was that this thunder tribulation was very weak. Of course, it was weak compared to other thunder tribulations. In fact, although the thunder tribulation of the Liangshan spirit domain was weak, it was enough to threaten a true immortal. At this moment, the thunder tribulation that was originally in the Liangshan spirit domain suddenly disappeared and appeared in the endless mountain range in the next moment. Emperor Zhao pinched his fingers as if he was calculating something. After a while, he shook his head and finally put down his fingers. The thunder tribulation of the rule is hard to calculate after all. However, with the strength of the thunder tribulation of the rule, Emperor Qin should have a high chance of passing it. Emperor Zhao thought to himself. He had no intention of getting involved. Because this was the thunder tribulation of the rule. Anyone who wanted to get involved would attract a more powerful thunder tribulation of the rule. When that time came, both sides would die together. In the endless mountain range, Qin Shujian looked at the blood-colored sky above his head and his face was very ugly. Why did this thunder tribulation of the rule suddenly target me? He was racking his brains. He did not understand why the thunder tribulation of the rule would descend on him. After saying that, Godslayer said faintly, "Did you break the oath of the rule?" "How can?" Qin Shujian wanted to refute. However, as soon as he opened his mouth, his face immediately stiffened. In his life, he had not made many oaths of the rule. The oaths of the rule of the Heavenly Pattern Island had been completed. As for the oaths of the rule to persuade the various clans to help, it would take at least 100 years to strike. After thinking about it, there was only the oaths of the rule of the 10,000 race battlefield. Qin Shujian was sure. He did not personally make a move on the 10,000 race battlefield. However, he had taken advantage of some loopholes. For example, he had given out some formations. F***CK. Qin Shujian cursed inwardly. When he thought of this possibility, his heart palpitated slightly. He was basically certain that this was the reason for the thunder tribulation of the rule. Godslayer said, "Did you do something to the 10,000 race battlefield?" He was not stupid. From the change in Qin Shujian's expression and the thunder tribulation of the rule in front of him, he had deduced something. Hearing this, Qin Shujian replied in a muffled voice, "I didn't do anything. I just left some formations in the 10,000 race battlefield as a backup." "Then you're in trouble," Godslayer said in a pitiful tone. "You're obviously taking advantage of the loophole of the rule oath." "No, you've already violated the rule oath, but because you didn't really make a move, the thunder tribulation of the rule isn't considered powerful. This thunder tribulation will be a warning as long as you can survive it. The warning thunder tribulation of the rule would not continue to strike until the cultivator died under the thunder tribulation. However, this kind of thunder tribulation was equally powerful. If he could survive this tribulation, it would naturally be a warning. But if he couldn't survive it, that would also kill him." Qin Shujian's face darkened. He couldn't be bothered to respond to Godslayer's words now. Because the blood-colored thunder tribulation in the sky had been gestating for so long and had finally completed its gestation. Boom! The blood-colored thunder tribulation fell, shattering the void wherever it passed. The aura of destruction. It then covered thousands of miles. Lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Power rule. Alchemy rule. Casting rule. Array rule. At this moment, Qin Shujian revealed all his trump cards. Boom! an aura as vast as the abyss spread out like a hurricane. Qin Shujian took out Godslayer from his sea of consciousness and then slashed fiercely at the sky. Just one slash! The void was turned into dust. The terrifying saber light collided with the blood-colored thunder tribulation. Then, the blood-colored thunder tribulation was directly torn apart, and the saber light sank into the blood-colored tribulation cloud in the sky. In an instant, the blood-colored tribulation cloud surged violently. An even more powerful aura overflowed from it. Not good. Such a change made Godslayer cry out in alarm. Qin Shijian's heart sank. What happened? The tribulation cloud of the rule thunder tribulation cannot be attacked. Otherwise, heaven and earth will think that you are provoking it. This will increase the power of the rule thunder tribulation. You have to be careful. Godslayer said at an extremely fast speed. Hearing this, Qin Shijian's face turned green. You should have said so earlier. He thought that if the blood-colored tribulation cloud was shattered, the rule thunder tribulation would naturally pass. So, the tribulation cloud could not be struck. Godslayer said, the rule thunder tribulation is the punishment of heaven and earth. Just like when your father hits you, if you resist, then you will be committing treason. Qin Shujian was speechless. It turned out that the rule thunder tribulation was like a father hitting his son. Resisting was unfilial, so he could only obediently accept it. A moment later, Qin Shujian said faintly, didn't they say that even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs? Why would the rule thunder tribulation kill people? At this moment, the power brewing in the tribulation cloud finally reached a limit, and in the end, it struck down with a loud bang. Boom! The myriad tribes battlefield. The cultivators of the three clans in the human territory had been trapped in the formation for a long time. However, this formation was set up by Fang Xinglan after all. It was not an easy task to trap the Almighty. The effect of the universe reversal was very useful at first. But as time passed, he gradually got used to it. The Qin Emperor's array skills are really amazing. If this formation was personally set up by the Qin Emperor, I'm afraid that in an instant, it would be able to completely annihilate the army of the three clans. Fang Xinglan secretly sighed. He felt that it was a pity. It was a pity that this formation was set up by him, and his strength was not enough. If the Qin Emperor had personally set it up, the army of the three clans was nothing to worry about. This time, Qin Yuanbai did not voice out his own judgment. Instead, he looked at Fang Xinglan and said, Elder Fang, how long can the formation last? It can't hold on for long. Fang Xinglan shook his head. No matter how powerful the formation was, there was a limit. Wait for me to activate the last move. As soon as he finished speaking, Fang Xinglan cast a seal. The formation patterns hidden deep in the ground were completely activated. Terrifying power gathered together, and in the next moment, it exploded with a loud bang. At this moment, the cultivators of the three clans were destroying the formation patterns and the meteorite attacks. They did not have time to be distracted by other things. No one would have thought. Behind the second layer of the formation, there was a third layer of the destruction formation. So, the explosion of the great formation completely engulfed all the cultivators of the three clans. Boom! The destructive power exploded with a loud bang. Under the impact of this power, even the void was directly torn apart. The almighties of the three clans were the first to bear the brunt. Dong Xun's expression changed drastically. Without thinking, he condensed the gold spirit energy of heaven and earth to himself, turning it into a solid shield to protect himself. Then, a terrifying power came crashing over. The gold spirit shield shook violently, and in an instant, it was cracked by the impact. In the next moment, Dong Xun flew out horizontally. The cultivators of the four cities were speechless at this moment. Everyone's gaze fell on the area where the formation exploded in front of them. At that moment, they saw flesh and blood flying everywhere, and also saw the Almighty's bleeding. That destructive power. It made everyone's heart palpitate. Inside the sacred city, Xiao Chengfeng walked out of the city lord's mansion, and his gaze directly saw the scene outside Yu City. This is the Qin Emperor's method! How dare he do this? Xiao Qingfeng's expression was somewhat stunned. He did not expect Qin Shujian dared to do this under the condition that he had made an oath of the rules. There was no reason for it. Xiao Chengfeng was somewhat in awe. Not to mention anything else. Just the fact that the other party dared to provoke the thunder tribulation of the rules, he was very impressed. At least, even with his identity as immortal Haotsang in his previous life, he did not have the confidence to provoke the thunder tribulation of the rules. Because in the face of the real thunder tribulation of the rules, even a 9th-level immortal would fall. If one could not become above the rules, there was no way to go against the thunder tribulation of the rules. Thinking of this, Xiao Chengfeng suddenly wanted to go back and take a look. He took advantage of a loophole, and he directly violated the oath of the rules. If it was a loophole, that would be fine. If it directly violated the oath of the rules, the thunder tribulation of the rules would have already descended. Going back at this time, maybe he could see Qin Shujian for the last time. Forget it, since he dared to do this, he should have the confidence. After all, the Qin Emperor has the existence above the rules behind him. Xiao Chengfeng thought of the scene in the long river of time and felt relieved. With the other party's foundation, he might really have the possibility to go against the thunder tribulation of the rules. Qin Shujian dared to do this. That was why he was so confident. Xiao Chengfeng was no longer worried about this. I'm afraid the 5 Elements Eldar is going to be destroyed. Looking in the direction of Yu City, he felt a little pity. 2 of the 5 Elements Eldar had already been destroyed. Maybe under this great tribulation, the other 3 clans would also be destroyed. No matter what. The 5 Elements Eldar were all clans that had existed since the birth of heaven and earth. It would be a pity if they were gone like this. Later, Xiao Chengfeng returned to the city lord's mansion and no longer paid attention to this matter. In his opinion, there was no suspense in this battle. Outside Yu City, the aftermath of the destruction gradually subsided. More than half of the allied forces of the 3 clans had fallen. Of the 10 powerful experts, 5 were directly killed, 3 were seriously injured, and the remaining 2 were still intact, only suffering some minor injuries. This result. It was completely beyond everyone's expectations. Kill the powerful experts first! Qin Yuanbai shouted. The next moment, he stepped into the air and charged toward one of the golden Eldar Celestials. At the same time, the Celestials of the Qianyuan sacred ground all attacked. The goal of a transcendent was only to be transcendent. The goal of a saint was only to be a saint. As for the powerful experts, they were killed by Fire Sage and Neodali. The reason for Neodali's attack was very simple. Because he was an expert at the peak of the Saint realm. If he sneak attacked a severely injured powerful expert, he had a high chance of success. In this case, every time the 3 clans lost a powerful expert, it would increase the human race's chances of winning. A golden Eldar had just been hit by the aftermath of the explosion, and was about to recover when he saw a big man with 2 horns on his head charging toward him. Seeing this, a cruel smile suddenly appeared on this powerful expert's face. A mere saint dares to attack me? You're courting death! He was seriously injured by the explosion of the array. This had already made this golden Eldar furious. At this time, Neodali was right at the muzzle. One had to know. At his peak, he was an expert in the 8th tier of the celestial realm. Even if he was seriously injured now, he was not someone a Saint Realm cultivator could easily deal with. Boom! The power of the golden spirit condensed into a long blade and instantly cut through the sky. Neodali threw out a simple punch, but it seemed to suppress the void and the sky. An indistinct shadow condensed. Then, a shocking roar came out. Roar! The terrifying roar completely shattered the golden spirit long blade. Then, Neodali's fist directly bombarded the golden Eldar's body. The terrifying power blasted his body into a bloody mist that scattered all over the sky. A powerful expert had fallen. It completely shocked the other cultivators. The way they looked at Neodali was also completely different. An almighty expert. Even if it was a severely injured powerful expert, his strength was still extremely powerful. But even so, he was still killed by the person in front of him with a punch. Such a change. Naturally, it shocked the others. So weak! Neodali touched his own horns, his face a little stunned. He thought that the other party's strength should be very strong since he talked so big. Even Neodali had thought about how to escape if he couldn't beat him. Qin Shujian wouldn't blame him. In the end, the other party talked big, but his strength was pitifully weak. He couldn't even take a punch from Neodali. Neodali found that he seemed to have worried for nothing. Then, his eyes fell on Dongshin. Among the remaining powerful experts, the other party revealed the strongest killing intent. So, Neodali had to pay attention. Strike first and gain the upper hand. Strike later and you'll suffer. As the cave master of the Ox Demon Cave, Neodali was very clear about this. So, without waiting for Dongshin to speak, he attacked the other party first. If it was in the past, Neodali didn't dare to attack a powerful expert like that. But the powerful expert who had just died gave him a lot of confidence. All of a sudden, this green ox found that his strength seemed to be very strong. Although he wasn't as strong as Qin Shujian. But he was still very strong. He punched. The same shadow condensed, and the same roar came out. Beneath that roar, Yi Zichen shouted. Dongshin discovered that his spirit god's flesh and blood had been frozen. It was as if he had encountered a supreme existence. Until now. Only now did he truly understand why that Almighty had died so quickly. You can't kill me! Dongshin was furious. He exerted all the power of the 9th level celestial being and forcibly expelled the shock. Then, he punched out. Boom! The two fists collided. His skin cracked and his flesh burst open. Dongshin was sent flying with a look of shock. It wasn't until he landed and coughed up blood that he recovered from the shock. When he looked at Neodali again, his eyes were filled with horror. You're not a saint! You're a hidden powerful expert! Such strength. It was impossible for a saint cultivator to have it. Neodali habitually touched his horns and said with a silly smile, It seems that your strength isn't that good. Hearing that, Dongshin's face suddenly turned gloomy. The next moment, the phantom of the long river of rules surged. A vast domain came crashing down. Domain of the powerful expert! Neodali felt the stagnant space around him, and his expression changed a little. Whether you're a saint or a powerful expert, you'll die today! Dongshin's eyes were cold. All the gold spiritual power in the world was drawn by him, and finally, it turned into a long blade that emitted endless sharpness. As soon as the long blade was drawn, the overflowing blade energy had already torn the space. The next moment, he directly slashed at the bull demon in front of him. Facing this blade, Neodali had a great warning in his heart. When his heart beat violently, it seemed that something was awakening in his body. Then, he transformed into the original body of the green bull and forcibly broke through the shackles of the domain. His forehooves stomped on the sky and suppressed Dongshin. Boom! The long blade collided with the bull's hooves and then shattered. The bull's hooves fell. The void collapsed. The power that was enough to suppress the world for eternity completely imprisoned Dongshin in place. Then, the bull's hooves fell on his body in his horrified gaze. Boom! The moment the bull's hooves fell, Dongshin's body shattered like porcelain. The moment his body shattered, before the spirit god could escape, he was completely obliterated by this terrible power. At this point, the only 9th level heaven realm expert of the Gold Eldar had fallen. Dongshin's death made the powerful experts of the 3 clans look horrified. Retreat! At this point, the remaining experts did not dare to fight and retreated out of the human territory. Inside the endless mountain range, the thunder tribulation of rules disappeared. Only Qin Shijian's body collapsed. He lay weakly on the ground, gasping for breath. P.S. Something came up yesterday and I went back to my hometown. The high-speed train will take me back from my hometown, Yangjiang, at 1:00 in the afternoon. Chapter 680. Lying on the ground. His broken body was recovering. The remaining power of the thunder tribulation raged on his body, causing the recovery speed to slow down a lot. Qin Shijian didn't do anything. He just wanted to be quiet. Ever since he broke through to the 8th level of the celestial being, it was the first time Qin Shijian had encountered such a blow. Although he understood the power of the thunder tribulation, he had never really tried it. With his current strength, there were only a few perfected immortals in the 4 major continents who could pose a threat to him. Although some things were not said out loud, Qin Shijian was still quite complacent. It was just that the nomological lightning tribulation just now taught him a good lesson about how to conduct himself. It made him understand. Even the weakest thunder tribulation was not comparable to ordinary perfected immortals in terms of power. In front of heaven and earth, he was still too weak. Sigh. Qin Shijian sighed heavily. He looked at the clear sky with a complicated expression on his face. He was so close. He almost died under the thunder tribulation. He had been in the pugilistic world for so many years. Qin Shijian had never encountered such a great danger. I still can't make an oath casually. The consequences are extraordinarily serious. He finally understood. Why were so many people afraid of the oath and didn't dare to violate it? Such a thunder tribulation. If it were a demon emperor, he would probably have already knelt. An expert who could resist it. Perhaps only the Zhao emperor could do it. However, Qin Shijian also couldn't understand something. Senior, you said that the power of the thunder tribulation was very ordinary at first. Why did it become stronger later? Could it be that the thunder tribulation also becomes stronger with the passage of time? It depends on the situation. Generally, it won't. The power of the thunder tribulation rarely changes, but we can't rule out this possibility. Godslayer's words also sounded like he had survived a disaster. It was too tragic. Under the thunder tribulation, Zhu Bing was also trembling. Because between heaven and earth, Zhu Bing's greatest threat was the thunder tribulation. From ancient times until now, countless Zhu Bing had been destroyed by the thunder tribulation. So, Godslayer also felt fear when facing the lightning tribulation of laws. Fortunately, this time, the might of the lightning tribulation wasn't too strong. Otherwise, it would be really troublesome. Hearing this answer, Qin Shijian did not continue to ask. It was no longer important as to why the lightning tribulation had become stronger. What was important was, he had survived. More importantly, the lightning tribulation had also disappeared. At this moment, Qin Shijian was lying on the ground, too lazy to move. He allowed his body to recover on its own. However, his thoughts had already drifted to the inside of the 10,000 races battlefield. Did I leave anything behind? I don't think so. He just placed some formations in the human race's territory. I wonder if Fang Xinglan activated all of the formations in this battle, or if he still left a portion behind. It would be fine if he triggered all of them, but if he only triggered a portion of them, wouldn't that mean that the next time he triggered them, there would be more lightning tribulations descending? He thought of this possibility. Qin Shijian's face also turned pale. Experiencing the nomological lightning tribulation once was enough. There was no need to experience so many times. He had already made his decision. After he recovered this time, he would completely remove all the formations in the 10,000 races battlefield. In this way, this would avoid the possibility of the lightning tribulation descending again. Half a day later, Qin Shijian struggled to get up. Then, he took out the hallow pill from the heaven board and swallowed it. He swallowed 3 hallow pills in a row. His injuries, which had already healed, were completely healed. Western Prefecture. Gold Eldar, Water Eldar, Wood Eldar. At this moment, powerful auras erupted from the territories of the three clans. The emperors of the three clans directly descended on the human territory. Terrifying auras. They were already wreaking havoc in the human territory. In the human territory. When all the cultivators saw the indifferent expressions of the emperors of the three clans, they could not help but feel fear in their hearts. Soon, Huajian walked out of the East City and looked at the emperors of the three clans. He said solemnly, "Why did you suddenly come to the human territory?" When he came out, he had already sent a message back. But even so, Huajian also felt great fear in his heart. The emperor in front of him. The weakest was a terrifying existence at the 10th level of the celestial being realm. Moreover, to be able to become the emperor of a clan, his strength was also extremely powerful. Although he was at the 10th level of the celestial being realm, his true combat strength was not weaker than an ordinary Nirvana realm cultivator. In front of such a powerhouse, it was difficult for Huajian not to be afraid. Gold Ling Huang said coldly, "Ben Huang needs an explanation from the human race." In the battle of the 10,000 races battlefield, Gold Eldar suffered the most losses. The only powerhouse at the 9th level of the celestial being realm had fallen. Many of his clansmen had also gone in this matter. Gold Ling Huang was extremely furious. However, Gold Ling Huang was furious. Water Ling Huang and Wood Ling Huang did not look any better. They were basically sure. The formations in the human domain were definitely not the work of ordinary human cultivators. It was also because of this. That was why the emperors of the several clans dared to come over and denounce him. Buzz, a powerful aura crushed the heavens. Qin Shujian walked out with his hands behind his back. He looked at Gold Ling Huang and said indifferently, "Gold Ling Huang, what explanation do you need from the human race? Emperor Qin, you were the one who left the formation in the human territory, right?" Water Ling Huang said coldly. Qin Shujian's expression was indifferent. "Does Ben Huang need to explain who left the formation to you? If you can't afford to play, then don't play. If you leave the 10,000 races battlefield now and seal the secret realm, you might still have a chance of survival. If you lose, come here and denounce us. Do you really think that Ben Huang is afraid of you?" Arrogant words. The three of them were furious. If possible, they wanted to attack directly. However, considering Qin Shujian's strength, the emperors of the three races forcefully suppressed their anger. Gold Ling Huang shouted in a deep voice, "Emperor Qin, let's not beat around the bush. During the meeting of the 10,000 races, all parties have already made an oath to not interfere in the matters of the 10,000 races battlefield. You're breaking the oath now. Do you think I can break it just because you said so?" Qin Shujian sneered. "Breaking the oath? Why didn't I see the thunder tribulation strike Ben Huang to death? Don't worry about it. Even if Ben Huang broke the oath, it's a matter of heaven and earth. What does it have to do with you? It's still the same sentence. If you can't afford to play, then hurry up and get lost. It's fine if the alliance army of the three races attack the human race, but after losing, you still dare to come over and bare your fangs and brandish your claws. Do you really think you're great? Emperor Qin, get lost!" Qin Shujian opened the human emperor fan and waved it forward casually. Boom! Boundless astral winds erupted and instantly engulfed Gold Spirit Emperor and the other two. In an instant, the three of them had already broken through the void and disappeared on the spot. 1,000,000 miles away, the emperors of the three races fell from the void. Their bodies had already collapsed, and blood splattered all over the ground. They looked extremely miserable. "If there's a next time, Ben Huang will crush you to death." The indifferent words entered their ears, causing their expressions to turn ugly. However, their ugly expressions, it was also mixed with a trace of ghastly white. Without fighting, one wouldn't know how big the gap between the two sides was. Until now. Only then did Gold Ling Huang understand how big the gap between him and Qin Shujian was. The other party only used a simple fan to fan him, And not only could he fan him a million miles away, but he also suffered serious injuries. In other words, if Qin Shujian wanted to crush him to death, it would definitely not take much effort. Such a fact. Now that they were defeated, they didn't have any intention to resist at all, so it was even easier to hunt them down. An energy sword slashed through the air and directly stopped a water Eldar cultivator. Kill him! Lu Qinghong's expression was cold, and the sword in his hand emitted a bone-piercing cold light. At this moment, the other players in the team also surrounded the water Eldar cultivator in front of them. Scram! That water Eldar cultivator was furious. He only wanted to escape now, because the human race was too strong. If he stayed here, he would definitely die. However, although the human race was strong, it didn't mean that everyone was strong. The ones who stopped him were only a few spiritual god realm cultivators. No, there were also true martial realm cultivators. In the eyes of this water Eldar cultivator, such strength was not a threat at all. If it was in the past, he would have killed them long ago. But now, the water Eldar cultivator couldn't be bothered to fight. He just shattered the energy sword with a palm strike. Then, he stood up in the air and wanted to fly towards the sky. You want to fly? Dream on! Chao Hong sneered. His long saber slashed down with a force that could split Mount Hua. Mid-grade spiritual artifact. It was compatible with the martial arts he cultivated. The power of this saber strike made the water Eldar cultivator fearful. There was no surprise. He had just flown into the sky when he was forcefully suppressed. Then, the other players in the team all attacked at the same time. One of the players waved his palm, and a green mist instantly swept over. Caught off guard, the water Eldar cultivator directly breathed in the green mist. It's poisonous! That cultivator's expression changed. At this moment, all kinds of attacks bombarded over. 15 minutes later, the water Eldar cultivator's broken body fell to the ground. Airborne realm cultivators are really difficult to kill. Lu Qinghong wiped the sweat off his forehead, and his chest was slightly panting. So many people joined forces. Furthermore, he was only able to kill an airborne realm cultivator who had been scared out of his wits after giving it his all. In other words, if the other party was not frightened by the battle just now and attacked seriously, they would even be killed. Then, Lu Qinghong looked at Lu Qingqing on the side and said, "Put away the body and wait until the matter is over before distributing it." Okay. Lu Qingqing nodded, and then used the storage ring to put away the water Eldar's body. Fortunately, the water Eldar's body was not big, so it was not a problem to put away the storage ring. For this, the others did not have any objections. Soon, the players in the team targeted another foreign cultivator. In this battle, the human race could be said to be flourishing. A formation killed more than half of the cultivators of the three races, and many powerful experts fell. In the end, Niodali killed Dongshin, which became the last straw that broke the camel's back. So, the 10,000 races were defeated. The cultivators who had completely lost their morale had no intention of fighting at all. In comparison, the morale of the human race was high. Many of the weaker humans were able to kill the foreign cultivators who were more powerful than them. Buzz, the long sword cut through the void and killed a gold Eldar cultivator at lightning speed. Nyingbo skillfully put away the corpse, and then stared at the next target. Let's kill a few more and gather 100 merit points first. He glanced at the storage ring and saw that there were already 6 corpses lying inside. After breaking through the spirit martial realm, he received guidance from Qin Shujian again. Nyingbo had made great progress in swordsmanship. That swordsmanship, it could directly kill ordinary airborne realm cultivators. Moreover, he also knew how strong he was. When he attacked, he only chose the right opponent and tried his best to kill with one sword strike. Boom! Shadow Ghost screamed as his body was cut in half by the ancient bronze sword. The powerful sword energy remained in his body. After his body was shattered, Shadow Ghost's spirit deity escaped from his body and was attacked by the sword energy again. After he resisted the sword energy, the spirit deity was already extremely weak. At this point, Shadow Ghost didn't dare to stay any longer and directly urged the spirit deity to leave. Boom! The sword energy cut through the sky and directly annihilated the weak spirit deity. At this point, the first mighty figure of the Shadow Clan had fallen. The Shadow Clan is only SOSO. Xiang looked at the other three mighty figures of the Shadow Clan with a cold smile on his face. Hearing this, the three mighty figures of the Shadow Clan had gloomy expressions. Mei was even more shocked. Xiang's strength made him feel a great deal of pressure. Especially the fall of Shadow Ghost, it was even more so. Such strength. To be honest, it was not much worse than the emperor of a clan. While he was shocked, Mei sneered and said, Xiang, you brought people to attack my Shadow Clan. I'm afraid that the human territory has already been conquered by the 5 elements Eldar. What do you mean by that? Xiang frowned. Mei said, Don't you find it strange that until now, our Shadow Clan hasn't sent any reinforcements? It's very simple. The 5 elements Eldar has already attacked the human territory with all their strength. After such a long time, I'm afraid that the human race has already lost many cities. Hearing this, Xiang's heart froze. If Mei hadn't mentioned it, he wouldn't have thought that the Shadow Clan's reinforcements would attack the human territory instead of coming to support the Shadow Clan. Such an approach. It was indeed unexpected. However, Xiang wasn't too shocked. So what if they attacked the human territory? There was still Xiao Qingfeng guarding the human territory. As for the former Marquis of Beiyun, Xiang also had a great fear in his heart. He had once asked Emperor Zhao what level Xiao Qingfeng's strength had reached. And the answer he got was, among the heavenly beings, Emperor Qin was first, and Xiao Qingfeng was second. Regarding this, Xiang already had an estimate in his heart. Seeing his silence, Mei thought that Xiang was already afraid and couldn't help but say again, It may not be too late for the human race to retreat now. Otherwise, if you continue to fight, even if you take down the Shadow Clan, you will suffer more losses. And from the looks of it, you may not be able to take down the Shadow Clan. Although Shadow Ghost had been killed. But in reality, Xiang had also consumed a lot of energy. They were both powerful figures. Mei's perception was extremely sharp. As for the original plan of entangling the human race and giving the 5 elements Eldar a chance to take down the human territory, he didn't plan to do so. Because until now, the Shadow Clan had already suffered a great loss. If they really continued to fight to the death, the Shadow Clan's losses would definitely be greater. When that time came, even if the 5 elements Eldar took down the entire human race, it had nothing to do with the Shadow Clan. Although they were allies. Allies didn't mean that they were completely on the same side. When that time really came, it wasn't impossible for the 5 elements Eldar to stab himself with a knife. So, Mei now wanted the human race to retreat and didn't want to get involved in other things. Hearing this, Xiang sneered. My human race's foundation is not something you can understand. The 5 elements spirit race also wants to break into my human race's territory. If this is the basis of your Shadow Clan's confidence, then I don't need to waste my time. After saying this, the ancient bronze sword had already erupted with a strong sword chi. Seeing this, Mei's expression changed greatly. He didn't expect that Xiang would still be indifferent after hearing this news. This matter. Mei wasn't sure if the other party was really like this or just deliberately mystifying things. But, at this moment, Xiang didn't retreat, which meant that the Shadow Clan might be in a critical situation. Right now, in the Shadow Clan, the human race was already in full swing with the Shadow Clan cultivators. In terms of top combat strength, the human race was much stronger than the Shadow Clan. The only 4 powerful figures had all been blocked by Xiang, and the strongest remaining were the Saint cultivators, Su Zhan and Dan Hao. They were all almighty level experts. When the two of them attacked, almost all the saint cultivators of the Shadow Clan were taken care of. As for the ordinary Celestials, that was even less of a problem. The Shadow Clan cultivators retreated. In the end, the Shadow Clan didn't have any way to resist the humans' attack. So, Ingmei could only cut off part of the territory and shrink the Shadow Clan's territory. At the same time, one by one, the Shadow Clan cultivators leapt up and exploded in the air, turning into black shadows. In the end, a vast canopy covered half of the Shadow Clan's territory, completely isolating the human cultivators. Shadow Canopy. This was the Shadow Clan's life-saving method. Every time it was used, many Shadow Clan cultivators would die as the price. Unless they had no other choice, the Shadow Clan wouldn't use the Shadow Canopy. And the Shadow Canopy was also extremely powerful. Even if a powerful cultivator wanted to break it, it wouldn't be an easy task. As the canopy formed, tens of millions of Shadow Clan cultivators self-destructed and died. Crown Prince, what should we do now? Dan Hao rose into the air. His current appearance was a bit wasteful. The battle just now. Dan Hao was blasted in the face by a saint cultivator's self-destruction. It was inevitable that he would be injured. Hearing this, Shi Yang shook his head and said, "The Shadow Canopy has formed. Unless an emperor personally makes a move, there's no hope of breaking it even with the help of Zhu Bing. Let's ignore it for now." It was impossible for an emperor to make a move. As for Zhu Bing, the only Zhu Bing that could be used were the two Zhu Bing in Xiao Qingfeng's hands. However, the other party obviously wouldn't make a move easily. In this way, the Shadow Clan's Shadow Canopy had no hope of breaking it in a short period of time. In Shi Yang's opinion, this didn't have much to do with it. Even though the Shadow Canopy couldn't be broken, the human clan had occupied half of the Shadow Clan's territory. They had already achieved their goal of plundering the general trend of heaven and earth. More importantly, once the Shadow Canopy was set up, the Shadow Clan wouldn't easily break it. After all, the protective barrier was finally set up at the cost of the lives of tens of millions of clansmen. If it was easily broken, then the Shadow Clan would suffer a great loss. In other words, the human clan occupied the Shadow Clan's territory in a short period of time. They didn't need to worry about the Shadow Clan stabbing them in the back. Pass down my order. Immediately send people over to build a teleportation gate. In addition, clear out the remaining Shadow Clan members here and turn all these cities into ours. Shi Yang decisively gave the order. The cities were ready-made. In the battle just now, not many cities were damaged. In this way, the human clan had basically made a profit for free. They only needed to send people to check the cities inside and out and eliminate the backup left by the Shadow Clan. The rest of the matter. It was much simpler. After receiving the order, the human clan cultivators moved into the cities on a large scale. At the same time, they sent people to send a message back to the human clan's territory, asking the formation masters to come over and build a teleportation gate. The entire 10,000 clan battlefield. It was only tens of millions of miles. One teleportation gate was more than enough. It didn't need something as advanced as a teleportation array to connect with the eastern continent. In the human clan's territory. In the territory of the Great Zhao Empire. Duan Sun received Shi Yang's message and immediately smiled. The Crown Prince has already conquered half of the Shadow Clan's territory. The remaining Shadow Clan members have already set up the Shadow Canopy. There won't be any threat in the short term. That's great. Yes, after conquering the Shadow Clan, the human clan will definitely be able to occupy more of the world's general trend. The other experts from the Imperial Court all looked excited. This could be said to be the first victory of the human clan. After the excitement, Marquis Yunyang said, "The Five Elements Eldar Coalition Army has suffered a crushing defeat in the Qianyuan sacred ground. Now the Five Elements Eldar's strength has been greatly reduced. If possible, our next target can be the 5 elements Eldar. I didn't expect the Qianyuan sacred ground to have such a strong cultivator besides the Qin Emperor. Alas! Hearing this, some imperial court cultivators sighed. The battle in the Qianyuan sacred ground. They all saw it with their own eyes. The allied army of the 5-element spirit race had 10 powerful people personally taking action. Even the great Zhao's side would not be able to contend against this kind of power, given that Xi'an had left with a portion of the strong people. But what they never expected was such a powerful force directly fell in front of the Qianyuan sacred ground. The army was defeated. More than half of the powerful cultivators had died. Looking at the Qianyuan sacred ground, not a single celestial had died. Such a result. It could be regarded as an unprecedented victory. Duansun shook his head and said, "It's not appropriate. The 5 elements Eldar was crippled by the Qianyuan sacred ground. At this time, if we attack the 5 elements Eldar, it will inevitably be suspected of robbing the battle achievements. In this way, the relationship between the Great Zhao Empire and the Qianyuan sacred ground will be cracked. And don't forget that the Qin Emperor has a very hot temper. If we really anger him, even the Zhao Emperor may not be able to help." Hearing this, the excitement on the other people's faces lessened a lot. Indeed, the 5 elements Eldar was crippled by the Qianyuan sacred ground. If they really wanted to attack, it wouldn't be their turn. Unless they wanted to break off with the Qianyuan sacred ground. Fang Yilan said, "The biggest reason why the Qianyuan sacred ground was able to defeat the 5 elements Eldar was because of that formation." Duansun became the person who temporarily gave orders. As one of the 5 great generals, he was much more proficient than the others when it came to marching, fighting, and deploying troops. In this regard, the others didn't object. Soon, Duansun's order was sent out. In the Great Zhao Empire, human cultivators were sent out in large batches to act as spies in the dark. Immediately after that, Fang Yilan also set off for the Shadow Clan's territory. However, she wasn't going alone. Marquis Qianshan, Gu Chongqing, and Marquis Yunyang accompanied her. As a second realm array grandmaster, Fang Yilan was more precious than the average powerful cultivator. At this moment, there might be some forces secretly watching the human cultivators and then looking for the right opportunity to attack and kill them. Therefore, the humans didn't dare to let down their guard. In order to ensure that nothing goes wrong, Marquis Qianshan and Marquis Yunyang's main goal was to escort them. In the Shadow Clan's territory, after the Shadow Canopy was set up, the Shadow Clan's tense hearts relaxed a little. Soon they were depressed again. In this battle, the Shadow Clan suffered a crushing defeat. 2 powerful cultivators fell, and more than a dozen Celestials were killed or injured. Not only that. In the end, the Shadow Canopy was set up, causing the deaths of tens of millions of Shadow Clan members. Of the dozen or so Celestials who died, half of them turned into the energy of the Shadow Canopy. It could be said that the number of cultivators who died in the hands of the humans was not as many as the Shadow Canopy. But if they didn't set up the Shadow Canopy and continued to fight, the Shadow Clan would suffer more casualties. What they did now was equivalent to cutting off their wrists. Inside the movie city, Ing Mei's face was terrifyingly gloomy. Beside him were the few remaining Celestials of the Shadow Clan. The Dark Shadow Canopy has already been set up. Unless the humans request the assistance of their ancestral armaments, it will be impossible for them to break through the Dark Shadow Canopy. However, if they are to borrow the might of their ancestral armaments, the 10,000 races battlefield will likely be destroyed. Therefore, the probability of the humans sending out Zhu Bing is not high. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Ing Mei calmly analyzed. Now that we have set up the Shadow Canopy, we have a chance to catch our breath. Now, the first thing we need to figure out is how the 5 elements Eldar is doing on the human side. But the problem is, now that the Shadow Canopy is set up, we can't go out. A Shadow Clan Celestial shook his head and said. Hearing this, Ing Mei's face was cold. If we can't go out of the shadow canopy, can't we inquire about information from the 4 major continents? This time, if he didn't figure out the matter of the 5 elements Eldar, he felt that he wouldn't feel comfortable no matter what.